we said to ourselves, when are there things that have arisen from our contracts, our agreement to be in one political union? Are there things that have happened that we can hold on to say, on account of this, we are going to suspend obligations under this social contract? And we looked back, we saw many things, but of those many things, at least these two, of being a federation and ceasing to be a federation, agreeing to be a federation and now no longer a federation, and then agreeing to be a secular union, and by the actions of this same group of people, we are no longer a secular union. And in not being a secular union, what they do in imposing Sharia expose us to the danger of death, because the adherents of Sharia owe it a duty of faith to kill the infidel. No matter how you resolve all the other issues, you are going to have them still planning in their corner. Even if you do restructuring and through federalism, as long as you are in one political union, they will continue to owe it a duty of faith to kill you. And since in their faith too, you are not supposed to own anything, they also continue to work out other schemes on how to expropriate you. If you escape the one of infidel and the killing, you then come to feudalism. This same set of people do not believe that all men are born equal. So they tell us to our faces that they are born to rule us. And so what are we going to do with this, the alchemy of these two, the same set of people being feudalists? Who sees democracy? You and I want democracy so that we can join the rest of the world moving forward. Democracy is offensive to them. Buhari does not think any of us should be competing with him over the assets, the estate of their great-grandfather Uthman Dan Fodio, which Nigeria is in their own imagination. And they believe that we are subhuman. We can't be talking when they are talking. El-Rufai actually said it as governor in Kaduna. He said it that we cannot expect to be equal partners in this union. So if we want democracy, and that was Abiola's offense, he thought we were in an equal union. He was friends with the generals. He was Muslim with them. And when he came to just let me be the one to manage, he contributed to MPN more than everybody else. He contributed to everything you will want, in terms of patriotism from a citizen of a country. He had everything. He won the election, and then it became clear that if we remember what they told him in after Shagare's first 4 years, you remember that Abiola had agreed with them that after 4 years he would become the next person. He went to buy the form. What did they tell him? They said the presidency of Nigeria was not for sale. And that was the end of that run until that republic collapsed, and he came again when he won the election. So what we're saying here is that the union in which one section does not believe we could be equal partners is worse than apartheid, because in apartheid there was no Sharia that was now a matter of instant death if you don't agree with us. So how can we allow this kind of a people to impose a constitution that put all the guns in the land in their hands and to do all the kinds of things that we have seen through our borders open? We saw the governor in Bauchi telling us that Fulani from all over Africa belong here. And we saw the Buhari throw our borders open and Fulani poured in from everywhere. And we've seen what they are doing since they came in. And so in that kind of a setting, we said to ourselves, are we not able to say that this social contract, that's that constitution itself, this social contract, has come to the point where we suspend obligations. And this constitutional force majeure is that, mechanism by which all of us who reject that constitution will suspend obligations. That is to say, disown that constitution, suspend the contract itself, the contract of union. Anybody who wants to know what the contract is, it is the contract of being in one political union that we are rejecting. But we're not anarchists. Therefore, we have to go through processes that will put in place, because the global community have been worried about Nigeria for a long time. And every time you go to talk to them, they see 300 ethnic groups that may become a disorderly situation. How are you? Are you going to create 300 countries from this one space? So we drew up a 20-year plan that will bring some order into the entire arrangement. As we were running those 20-year, that plan, it was in 5 phases. I'm sure some of us heard about Pronaco. that was the time we called a meeting of the whole country to say, gentlemen, everything has gone bad with our union. Let us now sit down and work out something else. When government refused to do it, we in exercise of our own sovereignty, we said the owners of the sovereignty can sit down and work it out. When we finish, we then tell government what we want. So that's how we went from having that consensus. Buhari was part of the Fulani delegation that came. We had 164 ethnic delegations. We sat for 2 years. The US sent observer mission, European Union sent observer mission. We sat in Port Harcourt, we sat in Lagos, Port Harcourt, Enugu, Jos, Kano, and we came to conclude in Lagos. And Buhari was part of the Fulani delegation that participated. Syed Abubakar, as the Sultan in Sokoto now, was part of the Fulani delegation that participated. And we got to a consensus that would have taken us back to being a federation. We all agreed that the question of Sharia must be removed from what will affect anybody. If they want to do anything, it must be something that will never have, that will never inconvenience anybody who is from any other part of the federation. Everything was agreed. Then they began to pull back from that consensus, and that was why we now, we found more grounds to carry on. The federation that we should have had, in which Yoruba would have been the owner of his own assets, organizing his affairs and contributing only 15%. 15% for those who did not know what the regions were contributing to the center. It was 15%. Now, how can Yoruba continue to live in the kind of condition in which all their assets have been taken and the people who took it have monopolized the right of ownership of guns and control of guns, to now come to eliminate them, to plant people they have imported from across everywhere in Africa? So we said, no, we will have to organize what we can show the international community as what we want in place of what we are rejecting. So it was in having secured the Yoruba to take charge of their space, the eastern part. There was the Jaw, there was the Ogoni, there was the Igbo. They were nothing. They were not. Everybody was at each other's throat. We went house to house to convince them. We went to the Oba of Benin, who was the secretary that went with them to Aburi on the federal side. We went. It took us 6 years to go from the Benin Kingdom to the Wari, the Shekiri, the Urobo, the Anang, all of the Jaw territories. It took us 6 years to make this proposition to them that we could be a federation in that part of 6 broad language groups, so that we will have cohesion at the time we say Nigeria cannot function in our space anymore. We're able to police the waters there, because that's international community will not listen to anything that will leave everybody in the Somalia kind of setting. We went to the Middle Belt, we did the same. And so it was when we had done all of this that we now programmed ourselves to when this madness must end. All the while, it was like what do they call this underwater vessel? Submarine. We were moving like submarine. They didn't know where we were going. We called it Movement for New Nigeria. There was Lower Niger Congress organizing what was happening in that place. There were Yoruba organizations doing their own here. So that Movement for New Nigeria was actually an alliance of organizations that will continue to inform their own people and mobilize their own people and provide, coordination for how we can do it together. Gentlemen and ladies, the action we are about to take, we are taking now, not even about to take. The action we ignited, activated on the 16th of December, is a joint jailbreak from the Caliphate prison. Joint jailbreak from the Caliphate prison. But we have everything we need to succeed, and we have everything we need to stop those who would have been eager to stop us, the Fulani. What are the things we got in place? Anybody who knows where to find Wole Soyinka, Professor Wole Soyinka, should thank him and celebrate him now that he's still here with us. The biggest contribution he made to this joint jailbreak effort was done when Kofi Annan was a secretary at the UN. We had finished Pronaco because we wanted to have a document in our hand before we launch a very serious attack on that constitution, so that if the document is going down, we are moving to what will become the replacement. The ones who have imposed Sharia, they are contiguous 12 states, and they acted simultaneously. So we interpreted what they did as, their right to self-determination. That is, they have seceded from our secular union, because Section 10 of this, as flawed as that constitution is, Section 10 says that the government of the federation or that of a state shall not adopt any state religion. It's as expressed as that. You cannot miss it. You cannot, there's nothing to misinterpret around it. The government of the federation or that of a state shall not adopt state religion. Full stop. That is the shortest section in that constitution. For these 12 states to come in year 2000, because that constitution came in 1999, for these 12 states to act simultaneously, being a contiguous belt, we came to the conclusion that it was their desire to move away from the secular union work. So they seceded at that point. Everything we have done since that time is to organize other people to get ready to take back their own sovereignty. Since the constitution by which our sovereignties are confiscated is already disputed, and the other side, the federal government and those operating that federal government, they have no chance whatsoever to be able to save that document, since it is our signature that is used in that forgery. And we have come to show, we went to court to say, look, look at their story. And here we are. We never met, we have not made any constitution. And so we either agree now and go and do it together, that we can agree afresh to form a union. And if after 20 years it doesn't happen, we then decided our sovereignty is inalienable. That is the instrument that came from the UN by the agency of Wole Soyinka, whom in 2006, we finished Pronaco in August of 2006. The following month, we were thinking, we were rubbing, just like I go to see Professor Akintoye every now and then these days. At that time, Soyinka was one of those driving the process with us. And I told him, sir, when we want to enforce this consensus, these people are going to say we commit treason. I have a few thoughts of what we could do ahead of them. There's something that I've been lying unfinished at the UN. My investigation showed that if we find a way to get it through, that will be the first answer to the Nigeria by the time we say we are fed up with their impositions. And then he went, I pleaded with him. He went and asked Kofi, said, this is what we have. What is the position with that instrument? They've been debating that instrument since after this Second World War. But all the countries that have self-determination issues, that instrument they call United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. Now, all the countries that had self-determination issues at home were in an alliance to block that instrument from coming, because they felt that if that instrument emerged, their countries will unravel the next moment. And so Kofi looked at the records and he said to him that if we could find six countries that were neither here nor there before, that were not on one side or the other, if we could find six new countries willing to vote yes, that the instrument will pass. It didn't take 3 months from the time that discussion took place. Soyinka took off to Eritrea. We went in different directions, but in no time at all, we had more than 6 reported to him, and Kofi scheduled the vote, because it was a recurring vote at the UN. Every 1 year or 2, it will be voted upon again. The people that had their, that formed their alliance against it will always carry the day. But on that occasion, we sealed our lips, and they didn't even know that anything was going on. Kofi scheduled it, retired, and Ban Ki-moon the matter came in September of 2007. And on the 9th of September, between the 9th and 11th, it had gone through the vote, and it passed by 11 votes, not even the 6 that will give you one winning by 1 vote. It was passed by 11 votes margin. And from that day, the offense of secession became the right to self-determination. It means the summary of that instrument is this, so that we can understand how it applies to us. That instrument says if you are a distinct ethnic nationality in your ancestral space, you are entitled to be there by yourself. If anybody wants to do any business with you, the person has to convince you. If you are not convinced, the person has to dress back from you until all of you find some kind of common ground. Why did the UN go in that direction? UN, all the wars the UN had been intervening in, whether it's the First World War, Second World War, or all the wars in all the places, it was always ethnic domination. If it wasn't the Nazis trying to prevail, it would be the Tutsi or the Fulani, as we have seen here, or the Boers in South Africa. Say, look, if you are an ethnic nationality in your ancestral space, the two must be together. So Yoruba on Yoruba land, Igbo on Igbo land, Ijo on Ijo land, Ogoni on Ogoni land, Scot in Scotland, Catalans in Catalonia. We know the situation in Quebec, we know the situation in Corsica. As long as you are a distinct nationality and you are in your ancestral space, that right accrues to you. And it's not dependent on anybody agreeing with you. It does not matter how you came into that union in the first instance. Those are the things written into that instrument. And so immediately we got it. We then escalated the actions we were going to take because we had the 1999 Constitution in a pinfall. What Nigeria would have been doing to accuse us of one wrongdoing or the other, again, had been taken care of by that UN instrument, except if Nigeria will pull out of the UN completely. But if Nigeria does not pull out, the UN is bound to be on our side. Before that 2007, the difference was that if you were unhappy where you were, you went to the UN to look for support from all the countries. They have broken my head, they have cut off my arm. They will have to, it will be the level of sympathy you're able to generate. It was on a case-by-case basis that you could come to say you were unhappy. But from that 2007 September, it was now a right that is what the fundamental human right is to the individual. It doesn't depend, it's just as long as you are in that legal space and your rights, your fundamental human right is about to be breached, you can go stop it. You don't need anybody's permission to say, look, you can't do this to me, you can't detain me, you can't kill me. All those fundamental rights. As it is for the individual, that is how this UN Declaration on Rights of Indigenous People applies to communities. Those communities being distinct ethnic nations on their ancestral spaces. That right does not accrue to you in any other capacity. You can't come to the UN to say you are South-South. You can't come to the UN to say you are Biafra. No diplomat will hold any meeting with you if you say it is Biafra you are looking for. You don't qualify. And these are things we have explained to all the groups who are, throwing tantrums all over the place. There are processes. The Constitution is here. We have to take it down. We are like trapped in one common prison. The Yoruba is in that prison. The Igbo is in that prison. The Ijo is in that prison. The Baron, the thief, all of us are in that prison. Is the prison set up against us by the British and their local collaborators, the Fulani? Two robbery gangs from outside, locking us inside and trading with us for over 100 years. And so we said, we must organize ourselves, since that constitution is the key. The key to the prison gate is that constitution. The walls of that prison is that constitution. Let us organize a joint jail break. But in organizing that joint jail break, let us also make sure that the international community will be on our side. What I'm discussing with you here, what I'm telling you now, have been discussed at the appropriate tables inside the UN headquarters. The Amina Mohammed they sent in their hurry to see whether they could find out what we were doing in the place. Where was Amina Mohammed when the special rapporteur that came in August, Agnes Kalamat? Where was Amina Mohammed when the UN dispatched somebody who had to come to find out why killings were happening in Nigeria on the scale it was happening? And then that rapporteur came up with the report of our constitution being the source of the problem, that our constitutional arrangement is like pressure cooker for injustice. So we have what will happen already organized. That was what we spent the first of the 15 years to do, to make sure that we have something that will become Yoruba country if we say Nigeria cannot be. So there are two transactions being driven simultaneously. And that's why you are blessed to have a Professor Banji Akintoye that will sit down and understand the fullness of it, and that began to call other people to say, we have an exit, a sure exit way from this caliphate prison. Yoruba making up its own, the map that will include Yoruba from everywhere who are willing to be in. Those who are debating can go to plebiscite later. But the bulk of Yoruba in the undisputed space are qualified under that UN instrument to insist on their right to self-determination. In the eastern part, we have now a chart of relationships in which Ijo is on the table as Ijo, Ogoni is on the table as Ogoni. We have a map showing everybody. I'm sure some of you have seen I'm sure some of us have seen the 1885 map by which the territory of the Lower Niger, that's the eastern, the eastern half of southern Nigeria, as you see in that map. Everything that went wrong with Biafra was done from London. And so we said, let us leave that word Biafra, because once you say Biafra, you can no longer put a map to it, no matter how you try. Because the Biafra that was declared on the 30th of May in 1967 was coming 3 days after the creation of the fracturing of the regions to prevent the Eastern region from declaring itself or leaving the Union. And so those 12 states in which the then river state that has become Rivers and Bayelsa now, and the southeastern state of the time that has become Cross River and Akwa Ibom, they will tell you, and it will be factually correct, that river states, Cross River states, and all those territories were not in your eastern region that became Biafra on the 30th of May in 1967. The Gazette is still there, decree number 14 of 1967 by Gowon. And so the people who are, it is at this depth of knowledge, and we went searching out for all of those who are fed up, explaining to them whether they were from our part, even the Niger Delta, militancy and agitation. We took time, the Asaris of this world, all of them who have been doing various things. We got everybody to say, what are you looking for? You want liberation from this bad arrangement. This is what we can do to get ourselves out of that prison compound, so that as we charge out of that prison compound, Yoruba will go to their Odua nation. Nothing can stand their way. And the eastern side can go to their Lower Niger Federation. They can then call it Biafra if any name they want to adopt after they have secured the land in cohesion, because nobody will discuss your case if you are not qualified in the place of that discussion. Biafra is not one of those qualified for that right under that instrument. In the Middle Belt, the Tiv, the Doma, the Juku, that's the what they are doing now. You may not have been hearing so much from them. I can assure you that their documents are being, finalized for how they will pass this test at the UN. So what we did in that December was, having organized all of this, we went to the US, of course, to tell them that these people who locked us into this bad arrangement have also gone to bring ISIS to join themselves to run us out of this place, kill us off, and settle the Fulani from everywhere, so that Fulani will have a homeland and ISIS will have an operational base. But that the 3 million barrels of crude oil in Nigeria, is said all the resources of Nigeria, military and otherwise, will be in the hands of ISIS. And that our president is at the center of the Boko Haram that became ISWAP in joint venture with Fulani, with ISIS in 2014. How come he was the one they nominated to come to speak for them in Saudi Arabia? How come he was always the one reminding us that an attack on Boko Haram is an attack on the north? How come he was the one that told Autumn to go home and live in peace with Fulani of Benue? How come he was the one whose Minister of Defense told us that anybody building on grazing roads is the one causing problem? His IG says you must remove the law. So in all of this, we have organized ourselves to the point where we could come out on the 16th of December to tell the global community that our union, as defined by that 1999 Constitution, is now in dispute. And the right we want to exercise is the right to self-determination. You can't call it secession, you can't call it anything else other than what it is. And the processes that will lead to the referendums, the election, the key to what the question of next step, what is it that we have to do? Gentlemen, we have only one thing to do. And if we do that thing, I can assure you that within the next 6 months, that's why we took this 120 days. We gave the federal government 90 days to come to table. They thought it was a joke. They were playing pranks to go to National Assembly. Of course, we shut down the National Assembly option. We gave the state governors and the elected officials from our part 30 days for consultation. Again, they were hoping that it would blow off. We left them. But this 120 days that began on the 17th of April, I'm sure most of us saw us in Ibadan. It was the point at which the owners of the sovereignty were now being invited to be directed on what exactly they have to do to take back their sovereignty that is now lying on the table, because that constitution is dead from what we did on the 16th of December.
Mr. Nadu, I want to 1 minute, sir. On behalf of the nation, I want to thank you for being detailed. I have some information that in order for people to take more, to be able to take more home, we will introduce the question and answer time, because some of the things that you still have to say will come up during the question and answer time. I see a lot of questions. I see a lot of people eager to ask questions, so that I know that there is a
in 1 minute, so I can make a closing, something that ties together everything. What we need to do now to get out of that prison gate, now that it is wide open. We saw the US, the UK, and the EU pointing the federal government at our prescription. They said to the federal government of Nigeria, guns will not feature in this debate. Dialogue is what you must do. Go sit down with your people and agree with them on how you live together and write fresh legal instruments. That's what they've been told. Now, what we need to do to make it happen for ourselves, we don't have to wait for government or anybody from afar, is that the election of 2023 is the last card in the hands of this caliphate. They've lost on every other thing, including the guns they have. I can tell you that their guns will not feature in this debate, except we decide to play into their hand. The last card they have is to drag us to the election in 2023 under this constitution. Whereas if we say we can't renew this our enslavement in 2023, and we say so inside 2021, in fact, by the close of June, it is within our reach to make it clear that no further election will be tolerated in any of our spaces in this alliance territory. If we do that, that constitution is at an end. The journey to election, that rejection of election will immediately spell the end of the formal end of that constitution, because it is because of that constitution that we are rejecting election. We're not rejecting election, for the sake of election. We're saying that the winner of the election is going to have to swear to defend and uphold this apartheid constitution. And so, in exercise of our sovereignty, we are not going to allow our cousins or brothers to go and partake in our name. They are going for themselves, but in our name. And so, if we can levy that fight against those who are planning to go to renew our enslavement in 2023 amongst ourselves in these territories, I tell you, we'll be in transition. We'll be in a logjam, we'll be in a transition, and we'll be going to referendum according to what is contained in that, December 16 proclamation. There's nothing else we have to do. If we don't do it, we should be getting ready to receive the AK-47 wielding visitors from Futajalon at our doorsteps. That's where I want to land it.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to, on behalf of all of us in this meeting today, thank our brother, our learned brother, Barrister Nadi for such articulate, well-spoken eloquent presentation. We want to thank you for your effort over the years. We want to thank you for providing us this very, very educating speech that you just made right now. And we thank you so much for your diligence and your loyalty to the Yoruba nation. You yourself having been from another empire entirely, but we can perceive the heart of a Yoruba man in you. I'm not surprised that when you were introduced, Tony was called Toby by our home barista. But I guess the Yoruba of Tony is Toby. God bless you. We welcome you. We want to pray that the good Lord that have given some of you success thus far will enable you to see to the very end of it until our different regions have their own secession, their own self-determination for the progress of our own people. Thank you, and God bless you, sir. Right now, we are going to be listening to a very brief news. There is a news item that will be coming to us, and then we will go right into question and answers. So those of you that have raised hands, we have about 9 hands already. We are going to be very, very strict today because the directors have been accused of having unnecessarily extensive meeting. And what we find ourselves in the situation is that we want to make sure that everybody is able to speak. You already know that Yoruba is the apex democratic body on earth, and we want to maintain it so. But unfortunately, we will not like anybody to drag us into time of consciousness. So please, very quickly, let's listen to this public announcement.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Please listen to this public service announcement brought to you by Broadcasting Services of the Yoruba Nation. The Yoruba Nation Global Directorate urged Yoruba citizens not to give out their personal details to anyone. To give out your data may implicate you and directly work against your personal interest and the Yoruba national interest. It has come to the attention of the Yoruba Nation Global Directorate that some individuals are collating Yoruba citizens' data for the sole purpose of creating Yoruba Intelligence Bureau. The Yoruba Nation Global Directorate is not part of such activities. The Directorate pleads with Yoruba citizens not to compromise their personal security by divulging their personal information like their name, age, date of birth, and local government. Yoruba citizens should take nothing for granted. This nefarious activity is not different from the aggressive propagation of June 12 referendum. Please do not allow your details to be used against yourselves. Lastly, should the time come when the personal information will be required for legitimate purpose, the Directorate will issue a public statement outlining the procedures in that respect. Thanking you. Imlefumari Agbewa, Princess Adiola Atayero Olamijulo, Directorate Director, Yoruba Nation Global Directorate. I am Mujibishi, reporting from the United Kingdom.
Thank you. That was the voice of the broadcasting services of the Yoruba nation. We want to thank you for your patience. Right now, we will go ahead to questions. And I want to ask all of us to please. No, we have 12 hands right now, and please, we will not take no further. And right now, I'm going to be inviting my sister, Moji Bishi to help us this time to coordinate, to anchor, to anchor the question and answer. And those that we will be trusting to help us will be spotlighted: the Dr. Barrister Jane Efoshakin, Barrister Taiwo Dimosu, Barrister Natayo Bidingwe, Otuba Ademona Edwards, Mr. Barrister Tony Nadi, and of course, our own Papa, Emeritus Professor Banji Akintoye. We thank you for your patience. Over to you. Good morning.
Yes, good evening. Eku ejoko, ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa o, ẹ̀yin bàbá wa, ìyá wa, ẹ̀gbọ́n àti àwọn àbúrò wa, akówájú akówó ṣe ń lọ akó gbogbo ẹ̀. Elédùà àtúnbọ̀ máa bá wa gbé ẹrù wa dórí. It's time for questions and answers, please. I have about 13 names now on my list, and we want this to be just question and answer. Ejo ebere ini shoki. See about ni observation are being committed a chat so that we can allow as many people as possible. That's the bere question or ejo question koni kebere. The first person to Moma Benin Ashaolu Dari. See everything Baradi, key seduce iPhone now come already. That's the Iberi one. Ashaolu Dari. Ibikibiti ever ejo needs around.
Kupade Wekaso. Iberi midaliri a party people who see bank during the week. Our sister me as a the bank, not the person who see account to US. It's not possible. No matter how possible, when I go $30 US. That is the charges. So if you have a bill, you pay. They see account for an Canada and be. Especially in Toronto. Share the account number to Nigeria so that we can pay to Nigeria account. That one will be easier. I say to move every money.
I say Yawa Barrister Janet Fashakishi down see variant.
Ẹjọ́ ẹ má bínú o. Mi ò fetí sí ìbéèrè yẹn torí mo ní client ní apá ibi. Ẹjọ́ ẹ bá mi repeat ẹ.
Wọ́n béèrè pé kò possible fáwọn. Wọ́n ní difficulties láti access the account tẹ fún wọn ní America. Ọwọ́ àwọn pé ṣé ó possible káwọn lo account tó wà ní Naija láti lè máa fi sanwó sí.
Mi mọ̀ bóyá account wà ní Naija. Tá account bá wà ńbẹ̀ tó dẹ̀ jẹ́ ti directorate. Bóyá wọ́n lè lo bẹ́ẹ̀. Kí ni difficulty wọn? Bóyá kàn gba nọ́mbà mi. Kájọ wo kí ni difficulty, because there shouldn't be any difficulty láti access the account America.
Bóyá Pastor Adébáyọ̀ lè fa fèsì sí bóyá ní sí.
Máa sọ lọ.
Pastor Adébáyọ̀.
Pastor Adébáyọ̀.
Pastor Adébáyọ̀ sir.
Hello? Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yes. There was a little difficulty, but it's due to the way they were handling it. When I direct them to go to the bank, they went to the bank and they made the deposit and the money comes straight to the global account. So there's all they have to do just to go to their bank and make the transfer, and it was easy in their bank. So during the week, we had a PayPal too to make it easy for people don't to donate through credit card. But right now in Canada, it's not a problem. Just go to your bank, tell them you want to transfer the money to the account, and it comes through.
Àwọn kan tó ń béèrè lọ́wọ́ àwọn sísá mi tó lọ bank.
Tí wọ́n ló ń sọ̀rọ̀ sábà.
We talked. They were at the bank. They didn't know what to do. I told them what to do, and they did it because there were some of our members who are in Canada that do the same thing. So when they went to the bank, they were able to make the transfer very easily, and the money came straight to the global account without any problem. So they were there. So the step to take ni pé kàn lọ sí báńkì wọn, wọ́n á fún wọn ní account global directory tó fẹ́ transfer owó sí, then they will transfer it. And if they want to do by themselves online, the bank will tell them how to do it on their own mobile bank transfer. So it was easy. So there's no problem.
Mo rò pé another problem tó wà ní pé bó jẹ́ international transfer charges yẹn ẹ lè charge ẹ to the global directorate. For instance, tó bá jẹ́ pé $100 lẹ send, tí charges yẹn bá jẹ́ bí $20, ẹ máa send $980. Directorate á bí a charges yẹn for now. That máa wò kí la lè ṣe nípa ẹ̀. So you don't have to send 120. Torí mo rí pé ìyẹn máa ń jẹ́ problem from another organization. Yoruba, another religious organization, tí mo wà táwọn èèyàn máa ń fẹ́ send owó láti Canada. The charges is always a point of complaint. So ohun tá a máa ń sọ fún wọn náà ni pé kàn charge ẹ̀ tó ohun tó fẹ́ san fún wa. So we will record it as 100 tó bá dé ibi tó yẹ kó lọ. That pé the directorate will be the one that paid the $20 tó bá jẹ́ pé wọ́n yọ ń bẹ̀. So even PayPal náà. Bẹ́ẹ̀ bá fẹ́ san PayPal náà ní nǹkan tó máa yọ. Bẹ́ẹ̀ bá san bí $10 àbí nǹkan PayPal máa yọ bẹ́ẹ̀ bá san $100 PayPal máa yọ bí $3. It's okay. At least it's better than not paying it. Because $3 yẹn a lè rí iye náà, bẹ́ẹ̀ bá san a lè rí $97 yẹn náà gbà lórí nǹkan. So ẹ ṣe gan ni, ẹ jẹ́ ká ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ so that kò ní sí complaint mọ́. Any charges tó bá wà, the directorate will bear it. Thank you.
Ẹ ṣe gidi gan Yawa. I've also been made to announce that the PayPal will be opened during the week. So PayPal account on my sheet, I think that would also make it easier for people to.
I will not subscribe to Nigerian accounts, like somebody was saying now. And I don't think we should subscribe to Nigerian accounts. Federal government in Nigeria. Wọ́n ní epo lójú tó gbogbo wọ̀nyẹn. Tó bá mọ̀ pé lákàntì wọ́n máa fẹ́ sọ. Ẹ wo orú nǹkan tí wọ́n ṣe fún àwọn ọmọ ENSA. Ìgbà tó yá táwọn ọmọ yẹn change sí Bitcoin. Kí ni Nàìjíríà ṣe? Wọ́n bànú Bitcoin. Just to make sure pé àwọn ọmọ yẹn ò ní access sí fund. That's the kind of ẹranko government tá a ní Nàìjíríà. Gbogbo àwọn tó kó síbẹ̀ yẹn àwọn Fúlàní wọ̀nyẹn. Àwọn wọn ń ṣe èèyàn. Àwa mọ bọ́n ṣe dá ẹran
wọn ṣe èèyàn lórí burúkú ní gbogbo
wọn ṣe èèyàn, they are not wọn ṣe èèyàn.
They are all goats.
Tẹ́ bá rí kan nínú wọn tó rìlíìsì kinní láàárọ̀ yìí tó ń pọ́n Buhari tó ń sọ pé kó ṣe justice. Ó ń pè wá ní Fidel. So can you imagine? Wọ́n máa pe ẹlòmíì ní Fidel àwọn lè yàn. So irú àwọn ẹranko yẹn Ọlọ́run á gbà wá kúrò lọ́wọ́ wọn. Àwọn ará British àwọn larí bá bí.
A lè blame wọn ìgbà tó jẹ́ pé ó wá láti
ẹnì kejì tí a máa pè tó máa béèrè ìbéèrè Seidu's iPhone mi ò mọ orúkọ tó ń jẹ́ bọ̀ Seidu's iPhone tí Seidu's.
Ẹ kú pàdé o.
Mrs. Adémọ́lá kẹ́ máa gbáradì.
Ẹni tó sọ̀rọ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀ kan yẹn ni bọ́dà mi náà ni. So àwa gan ni ẹni tó rìfà sí àti tí Pastor Adélẹ́yẹ tí wọ́n sọ. Àwọn èmi àti wáìfì ni wọ́n rìfà sí. Láàárín ọ̀sẹ̀ yẹn àdàmú díẹ̀ kó tó di pé arójútó ọ̀rọ̀ owó yẹn. Ó dàbí ni pé ìgbà mẹ́ta la lọ sí bank tí wọ́n béèrè lé lọ́wọ́ wa àtúnpadà. Ìgbà tó ṣe wọn á tún béèrè lọ́wọ́ wa. Anyway, gbogbo problem yẹn sìn láti send owó yẹn ó dàbí ni pé ó ti níyanjú. Tó wá ní pé ó di next time tá a fẹ́ sanwó kò sí problem lórí process yẹn. But ibi tí process wà tó yẹ pé àlàyé tí wọ́n ń ṣe yẹn kò tí ì yé mi dáadáa because $200 la fẹ́ send lọ sí America. So wọ́n dẹ̀ sọ fún wa ní báńkì that will be equivalent of $250 Canadian tá a dẹ̀ fún wọn. Lẹ́yìn ìgbà yẹn láṣẹ wá ṣáàjì wa ní $32 bank charges. Àbúkò yìí sìn. So owó yẹn is not convenient láti máa san bẹ́ẹ̀ anytime tó yẹ pé tá a bá fẹ́ máa sanwó sí US tó yẹ pé US tó yẹ pé 200.
ẹjọ́ gbogbo ilé mo fẹ́ pàkíyèsí wa tí wọ́n bá ti dáhùn ìbéèrè kan ẹjọ́ ẹni sùúrù sà a mọ̀ wípé nǹkan tẹ́ ń sọ kan yín lára ni ṣùgbọ́n a ti ń ṣiṣẹ́ takuntakun láti fòpin sí wàhálà tí ń bẹ nípa fífi owó sílẹ̀ yìí wọ́n sì ti dáhùn ìbéèrè yìí ẹjọ́ jẹ́ ká tẹ̀síwájú if you raise your hand tí wọ́n dẹ̀ ti identify yín tẹ́ bá mọ̀ wípé wọ́n ti sọ̀rọ̀ lórí ìbéèrè yín ẹ jẹ́ ká tẹ̀síwájú tí ò bá tún wá yé yín tẹ́ bá nílò further clarification ẹ jẹ́ ká kàn sí wa on one. There are a lot of speech tagbọ́lọ́dì kò sẹ́ni tó àti sọ̀rọ̀ lórí ẹ̀ so ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ọlọ́run àrùn àlọ́ tó bá ti dáhùn ìbéèrè wa ẹ jẹ́ kí next person kó béèrè so let's go to the next person please.
ẹ ṣé Olóòtú Mrs. Ademola.
ẹ jọ̀ọ́ sà bọ́n ṣe dáhùn béèrè yẹn kò tẹ́ mi lọ́rùn kò jókòó tán lọ́kàn mi ló jẹ́ kèmi fẹ́ tó ẹ jẹ́ kí n gúnlẹ̀ láti sọ nǹkan tí mo fẹ́ sọ tó ti eyín ọ̀rọ̀ owó là ń sọ kìdè ṣe pé mo sọ pé ẹnìkan kan àwọn kan pé máa gbowó wa tó ti eyín ṣé ẹni tó wáyé pé wọ́n fún wa láyè láti pé ká ní àkáǹtì wa ní Canada gbogbo wa tábà tó 50 100 tábà ṣe pọ̀ ìgbà tábà fẹ́ sẹ́ndì owó ṣáàjì sí wa kò nípa anybody lára láti máa sẹ́ndì ẹ̀ kò sí ìdí kankan tá a fi lè ní àkáǹtì wa ní Canada bí láti fi pé kó rọ̀ wá lọ́rùn ẹ bá ṣe àárín yẹn nǹkan tèmi fẹ́ sọ nìyẹn.
I support you, please.
Thank you.
ẹ ṣé bàbá wa.
ẹ ṣé sà.
mo mọ̀ pé àwọn tí ó ṣe olùdarí wọn máa rí.
That's a good idea. That's a good suggestion.
Mrs. Ademola, ẹ bá ti ṣe tán.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am, gbọ́ yín mà.
Okay. A kú ìpàdé. Yeah, nǹkan tí mo fẹ́ sọ òun ni sí ọ̀rọ̀ náà ni mo fẹ́ bá àwọn bàbá wa sọ. A dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ wọn fún iṣẹ́ takuntakun tó ń ṣe Olúwa dẹ̀ túbọ̀ máa bá wa lọ́ra ẹ̀mí wọn fún wa. Nǹkan tí mo fẹ́ béèrè lọ́wọ́ wọn ni pé kán jọ̀wọ́ kí ni wọ́n lè ṣe láti rí i pé gbogbo àwọn ẹgbẹ́ tó kù ń fara mọ́ directorate yìí bí àwọn ìlànà Yorùbá bí àwọn ẹgbẹ́ ti OPC tí àwọn ìbá Gani Adams dálẹ̀ kí gbogbo wa jọjọ gbárùkù ti directorate ká lè rí i pé gbogbo wa àjọjọ ń tọ̀ sí ọ̀nà kan náà kí ìtọ̀ wa kí ó lè hó yáyá dáadáa kí nǹkan tí a fẹ́ náà ó lè tẹ̀ wá lọ́wọ́ ní kíákíá ní wàrà ṣèṣà nǹkan tí mo fẹ́ béèrè náà nìyẹn kí Olúwa kó ràn wá lọ́wọ́.
Ẹ ṣé mà, dádì professor dádì wa ṣé dádì ṣì wà níkàlẹ̀?
Ṣé dádì Akintoye?
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Bàbá ò lè jókòó for that long.
Okay, so because the question was meant for him, so.
Àbá bàbá sọ̀rọ̀ náà ni àwọn bàbá ló lè bá wọn sọ̀rọ̀ wọn á bá wọn sọ̀rọ̀ nípa ẹ̀ àwọn tí ò bá sì jọ bàbá á bá wọn sọ̀rọ̀.
Okay.
Barrister Ogedengbe, where I answer.
Yes, ma'am. I think nǹkan tó ń sọ a ti ń ṣiṣẹ́ lórí ẹ̀ and àwọn aṣojú ẹgbẹ́ oríṣiríṣi náà ń pè directorate àwọn tí ò gbọ́ wọ́n ti ń gbọ́ and very soon ẹ rí i pé a máa gbòòrò sí ni. Ọ̀rọ̀ wa dàbí ọ̀rọ̀ àtàn wọ́n ní ojúmọ́ kì í tàn kì í mọ́ kí àtàn má gbọ̀rẹ́ ojoojúmọ́ ni àwọn èèyàn ń join wa nípa ti àwọn Gani Adams àti bá secretary general wọn sọ̀rọ̀ àti kọ letter and the response is looking good and I think with the red alert tó wà lórí the red alert upon the Yoruba nation now everybody's waking up to the reality of our time. So sùúrù ni ká ní fúnra wa. Question tẹ́ béèrè question ọlọ́gbọ́n ni torí àgbájọwọ́ la fi ń sọ̀yà ọwọ́ kan pẹ̀lú lórí and ọ̀rọ̀ tó wà lẹ́yìn àtàrí àjànàkú ni kì í ṣe ẹ̀rù ọmọdé. So ẹ jẹ́ ká ní sùúrù ká lè máa fi àdúrà sí gbogbo àwọn tó bá ní ẹ̀mí gíga nínú wa kọ́lọ̀ fún wa ní ẹ̀mí ìrẹ̀lẹ̀ nítorí pé sùúrù la fi ṣe gbogbo nǹkan tó wà lẹ́yìn. Thank you very much.
Barrister. I'm happy to inform everybody here that a lot of people that we are being watched on different platforms and by so many people who are not Yorubas. And I want to implore us as much as possible so that I want to wá tí wọn kì í ṣe ọmọ Yorùbá wọ́n lè gbọ́ nǹkan tá à ń sọ á lè yé wọn. If we can as much as possible speak English so that other people on other platforms that have joined us, thousands of people as I can see, have joined in from various platforms and they would like to understand what we're saying. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ a mọ̀ pé Yorùbá ni wá lóòótọ́ ṣùgbọ́n ká bá lè reach out to as many people as possible to the whole world. Ẹ jẹ́ ká sọ èdè òyìnbó díẹ̀ kí ó lè yé gbogbo wa. Ẹ ṣé gidi gan. Sister Buki, tẹ́ bá ti ṣe tán ẹ béèrè ìbéèrè yín, then kí Galaxy A11 get ready after Sister Buki to ask your question.
Thank you, everyone. Sorry, I'm going to try and mix it with Yoruba and English. My question is actually referring to the first majeure. There's been a lot of confusion with regards to this particular issue. And I know that when it first came out, there was also like a sort of petition to sign. But what I find is that there's a lot of confusion with regards to it. I was happy that the gentleman, sorry, I can't recall his name, was here today to sort of sum it up. But as you said, there are a lot of grassroots people watching this program, and a lot of them are confused. They don't know. I mean, obviously there was a lot.
What is the question now? What is the question?
Yeah, I'm coming up with the question. There was a lot of confusion with regards to, so my question is that this first majeure, just to make it clear for everyone, is it the first stage of us sort of getting our self-determination? Because the Yorubas are quite determined that they are not interested in terms of restructuring. They just want their self-determination. So this 1998 constitution or whatever, the redoing of it, is it the first stage of that of getting our self-determination? The second question is that just to make sure that it's got nothing to do with restructuring. I just wanted, just for the people, the grassroots people that are watching this program, just for them to have that clarity.
Thank you very much, Sister. Barrister Antonio.
Right, thank you. That's an important question, and the answer is straightforward. I will plead with
We cannot hear Mr. Nnamdi. Can you be unmuted, please?
okay, I did. Sorry.
Hold on, sir. I'm trying to make an announcement. It is very, very unethical for any member of this body to bully anybody down. It doesn't represent us, and it is not right. If we give somebody the right to speak and you bully that person down, you insult this body. If we do not recognize you to speak, remain muted, please. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Nnamdi, please.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, since you made that point, can I just re-ask my question, because I did feel I was bullied. Sorry. So I wrote my question down. so that the gentleman can actually answer me properly. So if I can read what I wrote down so that it's clear, I hope you don't mind. All right. Okay. So, like I said, so that everybody is clear, and I mean in terms of, because the gentleman was explaining a lot of technicalities. Not everyone can understand those technicalities. I mean, I can understand, and as this the Yoruba Nation Global Directorate is filled with a lot of educated and well and professional Yorubas, but we also have to consider that we not all of us are within that field, but a lot of us from the grassroots are actually watching this program, and there has been a lot of confusion with regards to this force majeure. I know that with the petition, a lot of people were signing that force majeure petition, not actually knowing exactly what they are signing. So therefore, what am I saying? To sum up, the force majeure, are we saying that it's the first stage towards our self-determination? Yoruba people are not interested in restructuring. So if this constitution is re-amended, I hope we are not signing, if it is re-amended and we agree, it is not going to put us in a position of restructuring, because the restructuring, I believe, is not going to give us the chance to control our borders. And it's because we don't have control of our borders. That is actually part of the problem that we're facing, where these herdsmen are migrating, destabilizing our farm, destabilizing our lives. Yoruba is not interested in self-determination. That is one point. Second point is, if this, okay, yeah, I think I've summed it up. Yeah, basically that's it. So we don't, I hope it's not to do with any form of restructuring.
Let me get on the answer now.
Yeah.
I understand your question to mean the taking down of the Constitution, taking down of the 1999 Constitution by way of force majeure is actually intended to end the union it creates. That's why I went into that preamble that says it is a lie that we have submitted into the union, and it's a lie that we made any constitution, and therefore we'll be pleading with all of those who can read and write listening now to please at least read that proclamation. It can mean life or death, whether we read or we fail to read. If we read it, 90% of the questions we're asking will not be asked, because it is there written very clearly that we are raising a union dispute. We are saying we are not in this union anymore, that the union we formed in 1960 had died a long time ago, and that what we have now, encapsulated, defined by the 1999 Constitution, is not our union. And so in tackling down the Constitution, in taking down the Constitution by way of this force majeure, the force majeure is actually to enforce our sovereignty, because our sovereignty was hijacked by that fraud of pretending we have submitted it. And so those who are talking about restructuring or writing of new constitution, that's part of the propaganda that has been fueled by some of those who are not listening to the process. You want independence. You want self-determination. You don't have a plan that can take you there. There is this plan that can take down the prison walls in which you are trapped. You don't want to relate with that plan. You want to start with the end, with the finished product, instead of where you are and working your way to where you want to go. The force majeure is to terminate the operation of that constitution and the union of death, the toxic union it forced on all of us. And the processes from the time when we do what we need to do, we are creating a constitutional logjam by saying we can't go to another election under it. When that logjam is created, at a time Yoruba is having its hand, its constitution, heading to referendum because Yoruba will have to recommit. Let us get it straight. From that point of, we are not going to election under this constitution any further. Yoruba is only interested in one thing. The Lower Niger is only interested in one thing. The Middle Belt is interested in only one thing, to go to referendum in their various spaces to recommit or opt out of the union. So the first thing that will happen is that people will have to go to recommit or to opt out by referendum. Regional referendum is not referendum of Nigeria. It's regional referendum. Yoruba is not in this union anymore on account of that constitution that is now out of the way. It is that constitution that locked them into this union against their will. So in going after that constitution, it is because we want to end the union. The people talking about restructuring are still discussing the Nigeria they want to fix. We are saying we have a preliminary objection to the Nigerian union itself, that the contract of union have been frustrated by the Sharia imposed on one side, and that it has become a question of life and death for us to remain in this union, especially since we didn't make that constitution. So nobody is talking about amendment. We have already tackled the National Assembly down. We forced the National Assembly of Nigeria to accept that their legislative mandate does not extend to constitution making. That has already happened. So National Assembly, all of the documents you saw on social media, they are throwing about Senate, that is, they're just gambling. We told them we're not going to pay any attention to anything they do, no matter how close it is to what it is not in their power. They were elected to make laws. They are not elected to make constitution for us. Constitution making requires constituent powers. Only the sovereign constituents have that power to decide what they do with their sovereignty. And that is why there's always a constituent assembly to go to decide. It's not parliamentarians. It's not the people you elect to go and make law that also now turn themselves into constitution making body. We've told the National Assembly of Nigeria that they are committing treason, that they are compounding the treason of 1999 in carrying on as if we have made a constitution and talking about amendment. We are not talking about amendment. We're not talking about writing any new constitution. Before we begin to write any new constitution, it is after our people who have voted in referendums to recommit to being in a union. If they vote that they are fed up in the union, that's the end of the process for that region. If they vote in that referendum that must come at the time this election of 2023 is shut down, and whatever it will take to shut down that election. Only 2 days ago, I was on a platform, Itwai Godalos, I'm sure some of us have seen the video. We told our people who are involved in party, whether it's APC or PDP or ABGA, all of them who are still talking about the election under this constitution, we are going to treat them like the wild animals they are. We are going to treat them like people who are determined to kill us, because the constitution by which we are being killed, the apartheid constitution by which we are being enslaved, is the constitution by which the winner of that election will govern, will swear to, whether he's senator or his president or his governor. It is that constitution that they will use to govern. And we're saying we have endured it for 21 years. Any one of us from the Alliance territory, whether it's Igbo or Yoruba or Middle Belt, anybody who is still talking about how to go to contest election under that constitution will be the enemy we will first look for if things snap. And whether things are going to snap in Nigeria, I can assure you that things will snap. This 120 days we have is to explain the situation to all of those who are suffering, those who are being shot, those who are being killed, those who are being expropriated, those who are being impoverished. We are explaining to them the source of their misery, that constitution is the source of their misery. Their signature is what is authorizing it. And we have done a process by which we are pulling it back, pulling back that signature. So as I speak with you, from that 16th of December, we have raised that question mark. And we said that if after the period of discussion, we have allowed both for government and all the other stakeholders, including the international community, if after that period we've indicated the 90 days of federal government is gone, the 30 days of the states and other elected officials from the Alliance territory is gone, the 120 days we have now is for the populace and the international community. I'm happy to report to us that the international community already took a position on the matter, telling the federal government of Nigeria to leave everything they are trying to do, put guns aside, go and discuss with the owners of the land and work out fresh legal instruments. US, UK, European Union are together in that. And they're talking about that proclamation. So we who are in that problem, what will it take away from us to read that proclamation? I can assure us now that more than 80% of the people listening now have not read that proclamation. Even if it is the demands you read, only the demands, you are going to get all the answers that we are rejecting the document and the union is voice. Our target is actually the union. We don't want to be in union with people who owe it a duty of faith to kill us. And we don't want to allow them to shoot at us. That's why we went through all this long process. With the UN already pronouncing, with the US and UK and EU already pronouncing, with the alliance we have, with the constitution that is not available to them to come into our space, we delegitimize their presence. We actually have come to where people can take up arms. Everything that that constitution asks you not to do, we told people in Ibadan, I'm sure some of us listened to us the day we were saying it to them, the governors and the people. Everything that constitution said you should not do, those 68 items on the exclusive list, including arms and ammunition, that people will come to your space killing you. And because one constitution said, then you can't do anything about it. Governor Autumn in Benue has taken time to understand it, and he has told these people to go look for weapons. As it is for that in terms of security, so will it be for the assets, the port of Lagos. There will be time in this period of waiting that people are going to step into those things that the federal government insists they are the only ones to do for us.
Thank you.
That's where we are.
Thank you, Barrister, for now. Thank you. I do feel your passion and I love your passion. I'm sure there are so many other people that would like to.
Thank you, Mr. Tony Namdi, for addressing my concerns.
Thank you. I think Barrister Ogedengbe have an announcement to make before I go to the next person. And I also have a question from someone which I would like Barrister Tony to answer, or any of the panelists. But in the meantime, Barrister Ogedengbe.
Thank you. I don't actually have an announcement, but I believe Brother Simon has. Thank you. Unmute yourself, sir.
The announcement is as follows. We are very excited that in our meeting today, we have one of the illustrious lady of excellence of class that have joined us, Honorable Ferdinand Erelu Lola Ayorode, who is also a member of the British Conservative Party. She also is the convener of Agbakomito Nule Odua, and she is at the vanguard of our agitation, the agitation for the Yoruba nation. She mentioned very, very clearly on her program interest, I believe, in the self-determination of our people. When the time comes, if she is here online with us in the meeting, we will be very, very proud and happy to give her a floor to say something. And concerning the document that Dr. Najib just mentioned, we will make efforts in the broadcasting services of this nation, of the Yoruba nation, to make sure that we broadcast it, and we will share that document to all and sundry who have not laid hold on it. We trust our barrister to make that document available for us. Thank you, and now we may continue the question and answer. Over to you, Sister Mujibishi.
Thank you very much, Olootu. There is actually a question on the chat for, there is actually a question on the chat for Barrister Tony or any of the panelists. And it says that, is there anything that the organizers and all the people involved in this move, is there anything that is being done to prevent the South from participating in the 2023 elections? Is there any place to ensure? Yes, okay.
That's our task. That's in all of this, we want to be free. All the while, everybody was thinking that unless you go to get guns and shoot your way out, that Fulani will not listen to anybody. But we have gone over that now by taking down the constitution that brings them to our space, raising a sovereignty dispute in which Yoruba land is saying, we didn't agree to be in union with you, contrary to your claim in the constitution you impose on us. And we and the other people who are fed up with the union of death, the union of master and servant you are trying to enforce, are saying we have notified the global community of our intention to rework our relationships with a preliminary objection against Sharia, which you adopted. That's the case that have been put before the global community. And so we are saying that in these 120 days of consultation, those who are going to be killed by the Fulani that are already marching upon us, they have a choice to face the people who are doing political party and shut down the journey to another election under that constitution, to create the logjam. The international community will not come to say, oh, everybody stop, so that Buhari can dress back from you. No, it is because we are still submitting ourselves to those processes. People are still planning to go and be governor and senator, some of them president, under that constitution. Imagine in apartheid South Africa, close to 1990. Imagine that in 1988, when the apartheid constitution had been wrested to the ground, like we have wrested this 1999 constitution to the ground now. Imagine that there were blacks who were being encouraged by the Boers to save the apartheid constitution by coming to contest the election to be senator or governor under that constitution. We are saying that our people are going to be mobilized, and I said it on behalf of the alliance, and because I happen to be spokesman of the alliance. We said it 2 days ago in the platform of the Igodalo, the Africa Leadership platform that ran live. We said it that we are going to be sensitizing our people, what you have heard now. We're going to be mobilizing them to direct their energies against the political parties, all of those who want to drag us to an election, because that's the last card of the caliphate to save that constitution and the union. We want the union dismantled and reconstructed according to our self-determination rights. Only we can decide to be in union with anybody. Only we can decide the degree of autonomy that's acceptable to us if we're going to be in union with anybody. And it's only by referendum that can be decided, not by any politician anywhere. And so the first order of business, whether we want 100% autonomy like the Yoruba wants and the other parts, or we want 90% autonomy, the first order of business is to get down that constitution. And the way to get it down is to say to them in 2021 that we will not go to any further election. And that saying is in terms of people going to stop political parties from carrying on with any form of preparation. They are going to be halted physically in the communities to say, because what are they doing there other than to hold the ladder until the time comes for the Fulani to renew the life of this constitution? Because of the benefits they get, the only reason they want to go to election is so that they can go and get their own 50, 60 million every month as senator, or to get 5 billion every month as governor, or to go and be president, to go and steal money. Every other thing will remain the way they are. Things can only get worse. Electricity will not come, security will not improve, Fulani will continue to maraude everywhere because we are still in one political union with them. So the thing is, either we do that task, we are just informing our people the alternatives. If we refuse to go and confront our own brothers and sisters who are doing political party, who are going to drag us into that trap of the Fulani, to drag us to another election that will renew the life of this constitution, at a time we can stop the union itself by ending that constitution in that kind of rejection of going to election. If we refuse to do it and they drag us to election, Fulani will continue in their marauding. When they turn up with AK-47, that fight we are trying to avoid in not going to stop our own brothers and sisters, we'll go to look for gun. when Fulani turn up at our own space. So it's a choice we have to make. It is within our reach to say that we will not go to any further election. Once we create that logjam, the rest of the things will take care of themselves. Arrangements are already in place everywhere for what to do with that logjam. Let us create that logjam. That's what the international community is waiting. That's why the global powers spoke up so early in the day, telling Nigeria, go and do it the way they say it should be done. That's what they have been told. If we don't take advantage of it and we allow a few charlatans to drag us to election, it will be because we want to kill ourselves.
Thank you very much, Barrister Tony. Thank you so much. Let's move on to Galaxy A11. Please, could you introduce yourself before you ask your question? Galaxy A11 and Sam Banjo to get ready after Galaxy A11. Please unmute yourself. Okay, Mr. Sam Banjo, if you're ready, please take the floor.
Hello, thank you, Sister Sam Bayo, not Banjo.
Bayo, thank you very much. Apologies.
Thank you. And my question to Enlighten and Mr. Nandi about 2023. Knowing fully well there are local and probably gubernatorial election before then, can we be specific whether this is for presidential or no, or till then? I mean, just so that we'll be very clear if we are targeting the presidential 2023 election or all other ones, even before then. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Very, very straightforward. It is the 2023 presidential election that is our main target.
Good.
But we're not discussing boycott. Boycott is already too late. If 10 people turn up, they will declare a result. What we are doing is something that has to be done inside June of 2021, latest July, before they begin. Can you all believe that the Fulani electoral umpire, seeing what we have done is bringing forward the timetable for election so that parties are already running around now for things they should have been doing, late in 2022. They are now being asked to do it so that the matter of election can begin. Our target is to shut down any form of preparations from this time so that the global community can wake up to the reality that the owners of Nigeria have refused to allow, that they say they won't go to another election under this constitution. Those minor elections, there's Anambra there, there could be a critic, I don't know where else they have a. The important thing, let those who are looking out for their own lives go and take down the infrastructure of election. They have to tell the people who are preparing to do elections, by what constitution are you going to govern, including those ones that are near. If we do what we need to do, when the general situation changes, if things happen now and an announcement is made according to our demands in that proclamation that no further national elections will happen under that constitution, are those subsidiary elections going to still carry on? Everybody will adjust. So we cannot, because of a few people, say, okay, let us do it this way and not that way. We are not interested in those municipal elections, but we are interested in all the political parties that are still, that governor that will emerge in that off-season election. By what constitution will he govern? Will he have the right to arm anybody to defend his people? It is because he wants to get his 5 billion that is not joining this discussion. So the general situation will overtake those subsidiary situations. The general situation is that the next general election is 2023. The international community is watching out, whether we're serious in what we said. If our people want an end to this union of debt, to this apartheid, what are they saying? What are they doing? Are they just going to be loafing around? The Fulani said they can govern, they can rule for all times. It's because we have overtaken them from all things that they threw power to the south, so that Tinubu or one Yoruba person will be candidate here, then another person will be Igbo there, they are going to, they want to knock our heads together so that we can, continue to fight while they buy time to save this constitution. So our safety, the safety of our life, our liberty, our freedom from this union of death actually depends on whether we allow the Fulani to drag us to another election under this constitution. If we allow them, we are providing them opportunity to defeat us in this whole campaign, because the international community will be looking at democracy that they are presenting. Have they not been doing elections since 1999? What has it led to other than this degeneration that we've seen? So it's a choice we have to make, that we have to stand up early enough, not boycott. Boycott is a totally unworking, a totally useless, approach to the matter. But the shutdown we're talking about is one in which we stand up in June of 2021 to go to the political parties and say to them, close shop until we have worked out the constitution by which we'll be governed, by which we'll be unionizing, by which we'll be living together. Until it's done, let nobody talk about anybody doing political party in your neighborhood is the enemy, is the one holding the ladder for the Fulani that is killing you, that's coming to kill you. We must put them in that spot and stop them. We're in a position to stop them, because that is not now Fulani Hesman or Sokoto Caliphate. It is your cousin and your brother that wants to do political party, that will go to contest election under that constitution, that is the enemy now. We can defeat them and stop them. Immediately we stop them, we go into transition. And the only thing that can happen in that transition, two things. We go and vote in referendums. That's the only time the international, those who are in a position to help us can only come if we set up that practical situation. If we don't, everybody will be reporting democracy everywhere. And before I forget, the proclamation can be found on the website www.ninasffn.org. I repeat, www.ninasffn.org. It can also be found on www.freedomfromnigeria.com. www.freedomfromnigeria.com. In those two places, you are going to find all the documents we're talking about, the videos of all of what had been done so far, including our discussions with Washington and New York, including the things that are in the background for which we can stand here and say to everybody. The other day, the DSS came out backing, say, oh, we told them to get the hell out of our sight, that the union defined by that constitution is no longer our union. And all the institutions, including the army, the police, the DSS, the NMPC, all the institutions created by that constitution are in dispute now. So you don't come pointing fingers at anybody. Unless we agree, unless we have a constitution that settles us as one union, anybody that is coming will be viewed against the background of this map. Where is he coming from? If he's from that part, pointing guns at us, the constitution that says we cannot touch gun is dead. He's going to be asked to leave. We're only saying now that we can manage it so it doesn't become a disorderly situation. That's what we've been trying to avoid. That's why we're giving them all this time to make up their mind. But if they think they can take on the rest of us with the guns they are controlling in monopoly, they will soon find out that the constitution that forbids us from taking up guns is out of the way. It's not only Benue that is going to ask their people to take up guns. Everybody in that danger is soon going to come to that situation. Nobody can give it to himself the right to kill the other people, like we have seen in Nigeria. And our federal government is directly involved.
Thank you very much, Barrister Nandi. Thank you so very much. Let's move on to the next person on the list. Mr. Wole Oni. Mr. Wole Oni, while you're getting ready, Mr. Bola Fatoki, you'll be coming up next after Mr. Wole Oni.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Tony Nandi, thank you very much for everything you've said today. You've actually partly answered my question, but my question was that what's going to happen on August 17 after the 120 days expire?
Okay, we wrote in the proclamation that if after the period of notice, the problem has not been tackled or addressed, that we were going to reconsider our allegiance to the 1999 Constitution. I plead with everybody again, whatever it will take. It won't take you more than 30 minutes to read through that document, because whatever that means to anybody, that the people who are fed up with the union, whose signatures have been forged and put on a document of damnation that exposes them to death, are going to reconsider their allegiance to that constitution. Whatever anybody wants to make of that, I can assure you, it may not even get up to that 120 days for things to snap. At the rate it's going, because the people have become more desperate, doing all kinds of things. The governors in the north are saying, oh, the southern governors shouldn't have met, that they have betrayed them. Betray you for what? That you are killing them and they are holding a meeting to consider their options. I tell you, let everybody bear in mind that the union foisted on us, imposed on us by virtue of that constitution is at an end. We're just working our way to where we vote to end it peacefully. But if anybody thinks guns will solve it, the world powers already told them to remove guns from the arena. And it has an implication. That advice has deep implications. Let's go on.
Thank you.
Brother Simon, your voice is not coming out. There's no sound from your end.
What's going on? Where is the noise coming from?
Yes, if you're just joining us, it's the Yoruba Nation Global Directorate Town Hall meeting. We're having the question and answer session And our panelists are here to answer any of your questions, and especially our guest speaker, Barrister Tony Nnamdi. There is a question of interest to a lot of people, and this has to do with the circulation of the purported upcoming June 12 referendum. A lot of people are worried whether or not it's going to hold and what they should do. So please give us your own authority on that. Whatever you say here is the authority.
Right. The so-called referendum of June 12th is an operation orchestrated by people who are opposed to the freedom of Yoruba land to cause confusion. There's no referendum on June 12th. The UN doesn't organize referendum online like they are trying to pretend that will happen. They just want to walk things to the point where they can say, oh, people rejected independence or self-determination. That's what it's all about. Those who watched our press conference of 17th of April, we said it right there, that it's been orchestrated by people who are opposed to this Yoruba freedom. Ignore it. It's not part of what we're doing. There's nobody at the UN. We are not reporting UN from afar to you. We are reporting anything we tell you about what's going on in the UN because we are there. There's no referendum of UN. Somebody can organize what do you call opinion poll? At best, that's what you can call whatever you do online, opinion poll or petition. But if you say it is Yoruba self-determination referendum, they are lying to you. Is an enemy action to create an impression that Yoruba rejected, self-determination. Let's just focus on the one that will come from the logjam. There must be something that takes the constitution of Nigeria down and creating a situation that has to be resolved. It is in that resolution of that situation that in a transition period, that's why we say we're not in any quarrel with those in government house. The matter we're discussing is a discussion between the owners of a company. The government is the management team. So this discussion is between the owners of the enterprise. It's when we finish our discussion that we tell the government what the owners of the enterprise have decided. And it is logjam, transition, then referendums. It is after those referendums that people can now say, oh, majority want to carry on. Then let's go to a meeting to decide the terms. Before then, there's no discussion of any kind of constitution that will lump everybody together one more time. That's where we are.
Thank you very much, Barrister. Mr. Wole Oni. Okay, Mr. Bola Fatoki. If you're ready, Mr. Bola Fatoki.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everybody. It's Mrs. Bola Fatoki Alo, actually. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to commend Barrister Tony Nnamdi. He has never disappointed me. He's a very loaded man, very zealous, passionate, and committed. I really thank God for his life. My own question, I think he had answered some of it in a previous meeting, and he had answered some of it as well in this meeting. But what I wanted to say is, we are in 2021. Yes. And 2023 is just around the corner. We all know that in 4 years, we have 2 years to governance, we have 2 years to election. So I can categorically tell you that the politicians, because I'm a politician, so I know they are already stirring themselves up seriously for 2023. And I kept telling whoever cared to listen that there's not going to be any election. They think I'm joking anyway. That is because you don't know what you're saying. But I want to ask Barrister, as part of the questions he had answered, maybe he can put more light to it. How do we stir up this referendum? Because personally, I know that I wanted to come out for the House before, but after all these things around the Constitution, I'm more open to, shelve even my ambition if it's not going to be profitable to Nigerians. We want this referendum to be quickly instigated so that we can have another national constitution. You know, so we want to know how can we stir it up? Because everyone I'm talking to, all the politicians I've been speaking with, they think we're all jokers, that this setup is a joke. We don't even know what we're talking about. But some of them know, but they're just pretending. And apart from that, the June 12th one, the referendum they said they want to bring out, is not the only fake one. There have been so many that I've had to dispute on many political platforms that they put my name in. And I've been telling them the only one you respond to should be the one with the United Nations. So this one that we're talking about, how quickly, I know that you said that the 3 months period will expire on 17th of August. What are the ways that we can really instigate this thing quick so that they will know that we really mean business, because they think we're joking.
Those who were the ones standing in the middle, were the last set of peacemakers left in the thing. The federal government is throwing the army and police they have, and the DSS they have. There are people in the east that were doing Niger Delta agitation. They had enough guns to defeat the Nigerian army in their contest, so that Nigeria surrendered. That time they talked about amnesty. It was because they were overwhelmed in the place they thought they were going to beat people down. All of those forces are inside what we're doing from that part. But we say to everybody, keep your guns at bay right now. It's not yet time for any kind of gun. You will need to defend yourself if people try to come to kill you. But in the meantime, the process that will deliver your oil and gas resources back to you is the collapse of that constitution that took it from you. So you better come, if you come along in the process and that constitution collapses, you'll be voting on what you do with your sovereignty and all your assets. They listen to us. You come to the eastern part, all of those who are shouting Biafra, apart from the criminal elements that are just running their mouth and doing propaganda, all of those who are on ground at home, they are holding on within the project. You go to Middle Belt, the same thing. You come to Yoruba land, I tell you, we are in a position and we're organizing. That's why you see people on the streets of Oshobo today. You saw them in Ibadan the other time. You saw them in Abeokuta and other places. A whole number of things are going. Yoruba can do that. But you can see what's going on in the East. This is not the time to put people on the street in the East, but something worse is going on in the East. Something far worse is going on in the just space as I speak with you concerning how to stop this madness and create that logjam. By the time we have consulted, because we say we are taking 120 days to talk to those who are in that problem. That's part of what we're doing now. That's the churches have come in, and it will come to the point where we'll say, those people will be unleashed on this political, gamblers. The masses that are whose lives are in that danger are going to, you heard me say it a number of times, that the enemy that we have identified for the purpose of this fight, the number one enemy is the political party and the proprietors of political party. Those are the ones that angry mob, including the NSAS people. You think they just fizzled into nothingness? No, everybody is getting ready for what they will do with those criminals who are seeing that constitution is guaranteed for death and misery for other people, but who are more interested in what they get by going to contest the election under it. They are going to find themselves on a head-on collision with that massive number of people who are fed up with a union that bring only death and backwardness to them. Well, they can continue to pretend that they become stronger than all of us, but nobody will tell them when the crowd comes calling on them. They have been identified. You know, this is now an objective situation. It's not because Mr. A or Mr. B is from this party or that party or this part or that part. We're saying that this constitution is the source of all the things that are happening to us. all the killings that are happening to us, all the impoverishment and hopelessness that have driven our people into exile all over the world. We need to travel around to see that our people have become slaves in many parts of the world because their country is not working for them. And so we set up this kind of plan that can bring a peaceful engagement with the situation. Then a few people will sit in one corner and say that their ambition is more important than the lives of all these people. I pray they don't learn the hard way, because that crowd will turn up at their doorstep. Then they will, I'm sure most of you listen to Igboho at times. I'm sure you've heard him say so, that they're going to take it out against the people who are because they're holding, these political parties are the only ones holding the ladder for this enemy that is killing us. Their ambition, their personal pursuit, the humongous benefits they will get if they win election is the reason why 150 million people from this alliance territory will be exposed to Fulani killing. That they will soon come to the realization that it was a wrong choice to make. They have all the time now to come to where their people are. But if they think they become stronger than all the people, we only need to pull back to say, boys, go take them down, take them out. They will count their numbers.
Thank you very much, Barrister. Somebody would actually like to know who is funding NINAS. And someone also asked, what do you mean by NINAS? What does NINAS stand for? And who is funding NINAS?
Yes. NINAS is the alliance. NINAS is Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. That's what it means. And it is a coming together of all of those who are fed up with the Luganian contraction we call Nigeria, that have been hijacked by the Fulani, who now want to exterminate them. And we're talking about more than 3/4 of the country. You can see the map there. The whole of the Yoruba land, the whole of the eastern half of southern, that's the lower Niger, and the whole of the middle belt. The peoples of the territory are saying that the union they formed with the Fulani and the rest up there has been overtaken, have been hijacked. And so they are doing that as an alliance, and that is what, and their target, they have one objective: to take down that constitution, to end that union, and go to referendum to decide their future. That's what that alliance, has come to do. And in each of the 3 blocks, those who want to be free of what Nigeria has imposed on them, like the Yoruba, there's in each of the 3 blocks, there's a lead organization organizing the other people. Ilanomo Odua is the one that has emerged from the Yoruba space. There are several organizations that are now coalition to become a force to say Yoruba is not willing to carry on in this enslavement business. As it is here, the Lower Niger Congress is in the eastern part, organizing there's a charter of relationship. Why you are not seeing people on the street there is that there's a charter of relationship that is being finalized, is being scrutinized as I speak with you. The document that will bring all those nationalities, that is bringing all those nationalities with a clear map of how they want to release, because that's what the UN will be asking them. Middle Belt is doing their own at the same time. And so, I don't know, I can't remember the balance of the questions. He said, who is financing NINAS? We've been on this task for 21 years. Who financed Pronaco? Did he not produce a draft? Who financed all the solemn assemblies? Who financed all of the various steps that have been taken at home and abroad? Who financed our several journeys to the US and the UN? I mean, the Washington and the New York. So anybody who is Yoruba not raising fund now? Is Yoruba not raising fund for their project right now? So, what am I supposed to answer to such a question? Who is financing NINAS? It's a stupid question, I must say. I'm sorry. Somebody will finance you for your own freedom. Maybe the people holding you down. I don't think that question is in good faith.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Barrister. Mr. Emmanuel, if you're ready to ask your question, please come on.
Good afternoon, everybody. My question is not that the 1999 Constitution has pretty much become void. So what's the situation that's happening in the Southeast in terms of the Nigerian government sending down the military, basically killing the Igbo people and the people down on those sides? So what is the defense for those people currently? Because people are dying currently. So what should be happening in those people, or what legal ground do they have to actually challenge what's happening at the moment? And also, my second question is relating to particularly the Nigerian media, such as the Channel TV.
Could you speak up a little? Speak up a little so we can hear the question properly, please. Just speak up a little.
Yeah. Okay. My first question relates to what's happening in the southeast of Nigeria, where the federal government has sent. Yeah. Okay. The second one. I heard that.
Go on.
Yeah. The second one relates to what's happening with the Nigerian media, where there's a lot of propaganda for people to be pushing for one Nigeria without actually explaining what the benefits are. For example, the likes of Dr. Abati, who tends to push for one Nigeria, but never explain or reason why, and they don't try and give any explanation why and how a Sharia law society can ever mix with a secular society. I don't get it. And I'm not sure how to tackle that media, because at the end of the day, that's a huge media program, and they go to a bigger population of people. So I'm just wondering, how are we able to counteract that aspect of the media to be able to get to the people on the ground?
Right. Okay. The first question about the killings going on in the East. Everybody everywhere will condemn going to kill people. But if we have to tell ourselves the truth, and at times that truth can be very bitter. I'm sure we all saw when Nnamdi Kanu said he had created the Eastern Security Network. I'm sure you saw when that Eastern Security Network began to move around, because he was making daily broadcasts and telling them what to do. I'm sure you saw the videos where they said they were killing soldiers and killing policemen, and he was making daily broadcasts urging them to go and kill more, destroy them, don't let them escape. He even imposed a curfew in Anambra and other places. Say, look, just go shut down anybody you see, kill them. The whole world was listening. Then they actually killed a whole number of, they made videos, and it's not being made up. They made videos at a time the world powers were already dealing with our situation. Is anybody being killed in Yoruba land now for insisting that they are fed up with Nigeria? No, nobody's even been detained. But you decide to go your own way in going to say, okay, we will charge you out just because he wants to pretend he's the one that defeated Nigeria in a Biafra that is not defined. And it is that scam, the desperation to make money from the blood of dying people, that led to that window show of we are doing so much at home. I'm sure we saw many videos and pictures of the pretense that he was dealing with the government of the United States and several other institutions across the world. We're in May of 2021. I can report to us now that no single official of the United States government have ever been in any meeting with Nnamdi Kanu and his IPOB and the Biafra commotion. Not one. Not in Congress, not in the executive branch, not at the UN, not at the EU. Everything you hear, everything you saw is Photoshop. In fact, the people that are dealing with us in Washington, and I'm sure when you go to the website we gave you, you are going to see the videos of what we did in Washington that became these policies you are seeing now. The people dealing with us, the officials dealing with us in Washington actually said to me in January of 2019 that they had verified we had nothing to do with that scam before they opened up their national security architecture for the discussions that had led to the decisions. You saw when they categorized Nigeria as state sponsor of terror, putting Nigeria as country of particular concern along with Iran for the involvement of people in government in the terror that was spreading all over the place. So I'm informing you that it is because they were making a show of killing policemen and soldiers. Then they say it's unknown gunmen. Then the people who have been looking for how to kill our people also join them in becoming unknown gunmen. That's what's going on in the place. We saw all of what happened before then. In 2017, the Python dance, there was the same thing. They put up video, Biafra Security Service. You saw them in uniform, holding parade. And then he was telling our people that he was going to go to Abuja and behead Buhari and bring home to them. And they were clapping. And then the operation was launched to stop them because if people were already wearing uniform and how can you be making a show exposing more than 70 million people to danger because you want to make money and make fame? He's not involved in what we are doing. Everything he's doing is causing setback for we will have finished with this whole liberation project. If not for the criminality of people who come to say you want to restore Biafra, that includes Ijoland, Ogoniland, Ibibioland. You've not talked to them, Uroboland. You sit in London and say you want to restore Biafra. What does that mean? You don't have a map to it. You don't have any discussion you've had with the people. Everything we have done was being destroyed. Yoruba was being denigrated 24 hours. Middle Belt was being denigrated 24 hours. Everything we did to get him to reason, to stop, he refused. Now look at how much blood is costing. Why are they saying people not killing other people in other places? Nobody's in support of people being killed. It's the same people who are struggling to save from this. But how are you going to explain in Washington, the day of that Operation Python dance? I went in to say, see what's going on. They threw a video at me of what led to the operation. And the fellow, he wasn't there on the day of that killing, on that day that house was invaded. Nnamdi Kanu did not sleep in that house. I can report to you, not only were the people in the compound who thought he was there, the 28 people who thought he was there, killed, there were more than 300 other people that were killed that same day. The radio in London was busy broadcasting, knowing fully well that he was nowhere near that town. They were broadcasting for people to go and defend their master. And people closed their shops in Onitsha, in Aba, in other places, heading to Umuahia to go and defend their master. The soldiers had their orders to commandeer those buses and execute the people. And that was what happened. More than 300 people were killed because somebody's playing pranks, presenting us as stupid people all over the world. And some of our people who live in the diaspora are busy contributing money for how he can come and make a show of killing policemen and soldiers. Why are Yoruba people not killing policemen and soldiers on the street of Ibadan? You want liberation. Which diplomat is going to be discussing with you? Nnamdi Kanu is a fraud and a scam, and all he's hoping to see is that when people are killed in such large numbers, that the international community will come and swear him in as a president of Biafra. He's not involved in this strenuous effort to liberate the peoples of the territory. He's the biggest setback to what we're doing on all sides, at home and abroad. All the alliances The people who already agreed with us. You saw when Asari began to disown him openly. You saw the Urobo disowning him. You saw Obaseki and this Midwest movement. These are all people who have embraced the Lower Niger Congress. And you declare yourself supreme leader. All the people doing that scam with him, Igbo. You said Chukwokike Abiyama. How does that sound in the ear of the Ijo? I have sent a message to him because he's not a stranger. There's nothing I'm saying here now that has not been discussed 1 million times in private. Before he began the broadcast, it turned out that one of our elders, who was in the military, had invited him to come to sit down to know what we are doing so that we can put that radio to some kind of, use. He came home, sat down with me for 4 hours. I gave him all the documents of this process. There were 8 points of strategy in which, we said to him, this is what we're going to do step by step that will become that freedom. We must have a definite map of the territory. He said everybody knows where Biafra is. What was the controversy in 1967? Have you discussed with the Ijo and the Ogoni now? Because that's what the UN will ask you. Where's your map? Have you talked with them? He said no, that those people don't understand what we are saying. What is your answer to the constitution that tie us to that situation? He said we're still discussing Nigerian constitution. It's Biafra he wants. Have you discussed with those who were in alliance against you in 1967? If something goes wrong now, Nigeria is still selling the 3 million barrels of crude oil from Lower Niger. The Fulani can still find a way to rally everybody against you. What is your plan about that? Say, oh no, don't talk about Yoruba who disappoint you every day. Middle belt were the ones who killed us. As if nobody has ever knew about all these things. With all the kind of people who are involved in the process that became this plan. He rejected every one of those, even the question of referendum. He said to me in that meeting that if anybody talks about referendum, they will kill that person. I said to him, here is evidence of what we have done at the UN. This was 2013. Here's the evidence of what we have done at the UN. That referendum is not for Nigeria to conduct. It will be a UN Security Council mandated referendum. He said, no, let nobody talk about referendum. What is the landing? How will you deal with the international community in this matter? He said when they conquer, what is the mechanism for dealing with the existing governance structure? Are you going to beat up the governors? He was hoping that with broadcasts, people are going to pour out to the street and the governors will run away. We saw it in 2015. How did it end? So I'm just saying to us that this whole shenanigan of Biafra restoration, anybody who is dealing with it as part of how to succeed in this thing is in grave error. We are marching on to the terminal point of what we set out to do. That constitution will go down, people will vote in a self-determination referendum, and nobody's going to be able to shoot at anybody. But if you go and make video of killing soldiers and they come back for you, they're going to enjoy a lot of innocent people. Put your ears to the ground to hear what's going on in the East.
Barrister, thank you so very, very, very much. We have a lot of people that have indicated interest to ask questions, and we want to try as much as possible to give as many of them as possible the opportunity to ask you questions. Toxi B, if you are ready, the floor is yours, Toxi B. And while you are getting ready, Toxi B, Olumide, you'll be coming up next. Toxi B, over to you.
All right. The question I want to ask basically is that, first of all, the Yoruba people, are we united in ourselves in order to actually get behind a singular agenda? That's an important question, because if we're pushing an agenda, if we're not united, how can we push a singular agenda? The second question I have is that, where's the red line? We're looking at not participating in these elections. What is the red line? I mean, if by what means are we talking about we are going to enact in order not to participate? Or those who want to participate, what are we going to do to prevent them to participating? Are we going to go to a point where we're going to pick up arms? It's just a question, because the lawyer is speaking very passionately about the Fulanese, and it's almost as if like they're the enemies. And even in a situation whereby we're trying to mediate and try to go through legitimate processes, we can't label people as the enemies. I mean, there are things that history has taught us that once we dehumanize people and we label them as the enemies, that is the fastest route to either genocide or some form of, civil war. So that's just my questions.
I go from this. I go from the second one. The Global Terror Index monitoring that had cause to designate Fulani herdsmen as the third most deadly terrorist network on the face of the earth. Why didn't they remove that tag so that the Fulani is not labeled? Everybody, I was in Washington, I was on Capitol Hill, House, Senate in June of 2019, State Department. I'm sure you saw the pictures of victims of this Fulani marauding across the Middle Belt. I'm sure you saw the pictures in Capitol Hill in 2019. The mother of Leah Shuaibu and all the daughter of the Adara chiefs, the victims from Agatu, and all of that. They were at Capitol Hill. The president of the time received them. I was the one who had to sit in the Senate, in the committee rooms, where we were sharing with the US that was anxious to know what was going on. And every one case of eyewitness, it was the US that identified them and brought them to Capitol Hill in the 2019 rounds of International Religious Freedom, ministerial roundtables. I happen to have been leading this alliance in all those months. And we got to where things, the victims were the ones addressing the senators and everybody who was, to be addressed. It turned out that it was the Fulani, they all confirmed, came to their spaces and killed people, burnt down villages. So the US, as a matter of finding, as a matter of investigation, you saw the Tom Lantos hearing of Congressman Chris Smith. Frank Wolf was in every location where addressed. So it's been established that it is Fulani doing this marauding. And we have a Fulani president who has constantly been on the side of the people doing these things. He's a herdsman, he's a breeder of cows himself. He's grand patron till date of Mieti Allah. Mieti Allah is the organization bringing all of them together, taking responsibility openly for the murderous activities of Fulani herdsmen. President Buhari went into our treasury, took 100 billion naira and gave to Mieti Allah. The Minister for Defense under him asked everybody to remove their development so that cows can move on. His Inspector General of Police, all Fulani, his Inspector General of Police said to the states that pass anti-open grazing laws, oh, you must remove those laws, otherwise you have to contend with the herdsmen yourself. IG of police. We saw El Rufai talking about how he went to 14 different countries to pay money to Fulani from outside who come to kill the people who are supposed to be under his watch. That was his response. That was all he could do. We saw the governor in Bauchi talking about Fulani from everywhere belonging to Nigeria. Then our borders were thrown open by a Fulani president and they poured in. And across the nooks and crannies of Nigeria, you don't know where we have to go to respond to emergencies every day, including in Yoruba land. If anybody doesn't want to call the situation by its name, the US has done so. Go and listen to that Tom Lantos hearing about what the Fulani is doing. So they're not, and they're not being called because anybody is because they want to now shift away from that designation that has already come from outside. They say bandit. What is the meaning of bandit? Was it not the same? Was it not the same Boko Haram that became Fulani herdsmen immediately? This fellow was sworn in as president. How long shall we deceive ourselves? People are being killed. I'm here. You don't inside this month of May. Inside this month of May, that is just at half. You don't know the number of locations I've gone into in Yoruba land of people who are in distress from the activities of Fulani people. There are documents to show who is doing what. So that's about that. It is Fulani that is killing. If we don't want to say it, maybe the day it happens to our own head, somebody will have to bury our communities that have been overrun. Maybe that's the day we'll prepare to say, well, but the global community has gone ahead of us to call them out, call them Fulani herdsmen, third most deadly terrorist network on the face of the earth. Then we come back to whether Yoruba is united enough behind an agenda. I tell you, let the matter go to referendum. And if anybody thinks it is by some kind of maneuver that it will not go to referendum, that person will soon discover how deeply in error he is. The Yoruba that I've been interacting with, we move around a lot. If I tell you what's going on in the Middle Belt, it's because I went to the place, up to Biliri. I'm sure you saw what happened in Biliri less than 6 weeks ago. The alliance goes to where the problem is. The alliance goes to the people in the community. So we're not reporting anything from some very distant or third-party account. The Yoruba more than united on this journey to get away from the caliphate prison the world calls Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
Next question.
Thank you.
Sorry, the last question. You haven't.
The next.
There's still one bit of my question.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay.
We need to give as many people as possible opportunity to ask their questions. Mr. Olumide Idowu.
Okay, thanks for the opportunity. My name is Olumide Idowu I'm calling from Canada. So I think the guest speaker has answered most of my questions, and I love the way he has responded to issues. But I just have two quick questions that I want to ask. The first one, I'll say initially I was neutral about the idea of self-determination. I thought it should be a last resort, but I'm persuaded now. But my concern is that there's a lot of facts and lots of conspiracies. The first conspiracy is this recurrent one that, the whole idea of self-determination to further balkanize Nigeria is being instigated by abroad. And we all know the narrative that the whole concept of Africa itself, the only reason why we are not united as a continent is because of the balkanization and division along all these Francophone and Anglophone ideologies. So the fear is that the West is doing that to further destabilize Nigeria. That's my first question. And my second question is also something I read recently in one of Nigerian dailies, that why is the East, particularly now, complaining about over-centralization of federal power in Nigeria? When, if you go into history, the whole idea of centralization it was something that was actually instigated by Nrosi, and the person that drafted the first unitary constitution for the country was Professor Benu Wabueze. And the understanding was that the East did it then because the heavy centralization was in favor of one region. Now, why is the same East now complaining, saying excessive centralization is not good for Nigeria? I don't need to be convinced. I know that the federal structure is not working, but how do you address these things? Because somebody in the North is still holding on to that ideology that they're only complaining because decentralization is not in their favor. Thanks.
Let me start. Remind me of the first question again.
The first question is that this whole idea of self-determination is being instigated by Western powers just to further balkanize Nigeria.
I got you.
Okay.
Then I'll take it. From the, in the order you posed it. It is actually an insult for anybody to be speaking about, and I'm sorry, I had even my very good friend Femi Fanikayede saying so, despite having personally explained to him how we came about the plan we had. I was in the oil industry, senior executive position in the upstream, up to 1998, when I had to leave, having seen the documents by which Shell and others were operating and causing havoc. And research for how it came to be led to other things. And it came to where I just, with all those who we were, because I was involved with them in Nadeco, and we said, look, we need to dig deeper. Eventually, we had to get into the British archives the way WikiLeaks does. And we got documents that were unknown to our fathers. And I've been with the Enohoro that moved the motion, the Enohoro that went to all the meetings at which they committed us to Nigeria. They didn't know what the British had in the background. In the coming days, less than 10 days from now, for the first time, we'll be releasing those things to the public so that everybody could see the depth of wickedness that has caught us in this mess. Now, it was because we found out all of how we got to where we were that we drew up a plan for how to dismantle all of what they did. That was how it came. If anybody is still in the mundane thought of thinking that it is America that came to design all of what this 20-year plan of how to dismantle, what had been brought to culmination now, that constitutional force majeure is the culmination of a 20-year plan executed step by step to come to where a majority will be in consensus for retrieving their sovereignty. The foreigners had no hand in it. They were the ones who came. If you want to find out what they knew, I will refer you to Google up a military report from Washington, from Pennsylvania, titled Nigerian Unity in the Balance, June 2013, Nigerian Unity in the Balance. You will think I wrote that report because there's also an earlier document from us about how we got into the trouble that we must now resolve. That it was the British that, cobbled us together in a manner that make us slaves in our lands and handed us over to their fellow invaders. The Fulani came from outside, they came from outside. The Fulani had come in 1804, conquered the Hausa territories, pushing southwards towards the Atlantic Ocean. And their journey stopped in the Lorry-Benue axis because they were being resisted. Meanwhile, the British that came in the 1860s, you remember 1861 Lagos colony, you remember oil rivers, the British had secured by guile and brutal force all kinds of trading and protection treaties, which they brought together, they cobbled together to form the Protectorate of Southern Nigeria. And they were pushing northwards to seize the balance of the territory because the other outlying places have been taken by Germany and France. They had skirmishes. When they got to the point where the Fulani were also coming down, they fought among themselves for a while, but somehow some kind of reasoning prevailed to say, but we're two robbery gangs after one target. Why don't you bring what you have? I bring what I have. We consolidate it and share the benefit for all times. That was what became 1914. Everything I tell you now, the documents that some of them, most of them still classified of how it happened, longhand. Some of them don't type. If you type, if somebody says it, the house will collapse like a pack of cards. So it was on account of having found out what became Nigeria and why everything is upside down that we decided to work our way out of it. And we realized that you couldn't do it as a secession because the system will beat you down, surround you and beat you down. The thief suffered from it. The Igbo suffered less. The Niger Delta, Isaac Boro and his suffered even before the Igbo. He went round. Ijo, Yoruba, eventually is back in the middle belt, beat them down. So we said we have to have the patience to get everybody who is in this danger, show them exactly what the problem is. Nobody from outside is talking about balkanization. Those who are talking, who are speaking in that nonsense manner, they are just insulting. They're trying to denigrate those who are doing this. I've competed one-on-one. One-on-one, I don't think there's anybody from any part of the world that can defeat all of us in any field of endeavor. We have seen it. So why is it that people think we can't think for ourselves? And our people actually buy into that. Nobody designed anything from outside. We designed it inch by inch, executed it through 20 years meticulously. I'm sure you remember in 2005, when the US intelligence report raised alarm that from what they were seeing, that Nigeria will be history by 2015. If not for the setback we suffered from those who jumped out in the middle of it and began to talk about Biafra that now caused commotion, confusion in the thing that was getting quietly to its own end. We lost almost 4 years slowing down to make sure that the Fulani does not come to separate the fight on the streets of Aba. But having done all of that, see where we are. We come to your second question. What was it again about
No, the second question is about the genesis of the concentration of power in the federal government and the role of Agboirosi and Benue
Hold on, I heard you.
Okay.
We have built on a foundation of falsehood in all ways. Ironsi did not touch the structure of the Federation of Nigeria. Ironsi was not part of the coup. He was just the most senior in the army. The young men, Nzogu and his mates, who staged the coup did not get to power. The most serious opposition they suffered was from Ojukwu, that was commander of 5th Battalion in Kano. He was ready to be taken on by Nzogu from Kaduna. And it was in that being able to slow them down that so many things became possible, in which Ironsi, as head of the army in Lagos, was able to hold things back together. And the unification decree number 34, that Ironsi had to promulgate, the federal government had been decapitated. Prime Minister dead. The 2 regional premiers dead. In the eastern part, the group that went to execute the coup could not have contemplated that a European president would be with Emma Okpara on the day of the coup. They meant Archbishop Macarius of Malta. I want you to do that research. Whether Archbishop Macarius, the president of Malta, was not with Emma Okpara on the day in question. The people got there. What are you going to do with a foreign president? Because in the First Republic, at the time we had the regions had diplomatic missions abroad. So they related to the outside world on their own. So that was the reason Emma Okpara, wasn't killed. Now, everything, the dust settled. There was no government. What Ironsi did was try to set up some kind of, because only the military could hold the situation together. Then that unification decree is not unitarization decree. It was just to set up a governance structure that the way the military can manage it. The regions, the 4 regions had their governors, who the assets of the region remained the assets of the region. And it was only a matter of providing temporary arrangements until things come to where order can be reestablished and democracy reestablished. How many months down the road, it was toppled? The first time the Federation of Nigeria was tampered with was by Yakubu Gowon on the 27th of May. I already spoke about it in this program. On the 27th of May in 1967. That was the day the 4 regions were broken down into 12 states. By the decree of Gowon, I think it's decree number 14 of 1967. And the assets of the regions taken over by the federal government, and progressively more were taken. As the states were being created, more of the assets were. It was on that day that Nigeria moved away from being a federation. Up to that day, the regions owned their assets 100%, according to the constitution that was there. So all this falsehood of Igbo plan to do this, if it was an Igbo plan, how come it was an Ojukwu that plunged it into disarray? How come Ato Nebe, that was a quartermaster general, the armory from which they would have taken the weapons to deal with Lagos was under the control of an Igbo man. He refused to give them access to the weapons. They killed him. Yet it was an Igbo coup. We can continue to tell these lies to eternity. But I tell you, the truth is fully known and action is being taken based on that truth. And there's nothing I've reported to you now that somebody else told me through third party. I sat eyeball to, I've been with the ancestors, all of them who were on one side or the other. Enohoro spent the last 7 years of his life trying to unravel, to dismantle the stupid union. He said if they knew that this was what the British put together, there's no way they would have signed us into this union. Ojukwu, that was at war at the other end, also saw why something that was already resolved became war. So we're working with the actual. There's no conjecture in anything that we have done in this matter. And that's why it defied even the best British intelligence. Britain didn't know how it happened. The closest we came to being found out in this plan was at that time that US intelligence. They stumbled because it's a written plan. They stumbled across it. They came to Nigeria, John Negro Ponte, I'm sure you remember. They came to Nigeria to find out from the people they could identify. And all, I was called into it. And by the time we showed them what we had, say, are you going to remain in this kind of arrangement? Because Lugard came at one point in the past. They went home and came up with their calculations that the way things were going, that Nigeria will be history by 2015. We were delayed a little, but today, I can assure you that Nigeria that was there before is no more in place. If people can wake up and walk to the prison gate, the prison gate is open as we speak. Anybody who doesn't understand it is going to come into the situation Niger State has just got in.
Thank you, Barrister. For now, I would like to ask Mr. Olootu to ask his question. If you're here, Mr. Olootu, just
let me note on this. We only have less than
only 1 minute. 1 minute, Mr. Olootu.
Yeah, we have less than 30 minutes to the end of the meeting. We were supposed to end by 12. It's been extended by an hour. So please be very, very brief in your question. We will also employ our speaker to also try so that you can answer more questions for us. Please try as much as possible to be brief in your response to. Thank you, and we celebrate you, Mr. Tony Nadi. God bless you. Over to you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Oduagbe, are you hearing me?
Yes. Loud and clear.
Okay, Oduagbe, go out. My name is Olugbedu. And I have only one question and a comment to make. Before I ask my question, I need to tell Mr. Tony that he needs to tell me who owns Nigeria. Because today we went to Osun for a peaceful rally. And after the peaceful rally, Sunday Igboho went to say hello to the king. At the palace, some DSS went there and started shooting guns. But by the grace of God, as you know, God is always with us. Everybody came out successfully without no injury and anything happened to anybody there. But end of the day, who owns Nigeria? Why are they holding us bondage? We told them we are no more Nigeria. And that's my first question. And my second question is, on this platform, we love the Biafra, we love everybody. But end of the day, we all have problems. Let's sort our problems at home. We're not interested in bringing problems of Biafra to other platforms or Yoruba, and we deal with our platform in our own place. And please, let's make it, because all both Biafra, you, we, Yoruba, everything where we are going is the same place. Maybe Inandi is doing or whatever he's doing, all where we are going, we are all going to the same place, and we all meet at that junction. And when we get to that junction, we should ask, we want our independence. We want Yoruba land I don't know, maybe Biafra land, maybe Igbo land, you want Igbo land, everybody needs to go. That's the second one. But the last one I'm going to say now is that everybody that be in this platform, please don't forget June 12th. June 12th is our rally around the world, UK, America. We're having a rally on June 12th. That is what we know how to do. Let's leave Mr. Tony with his big English to start talking the big English. But we don't know how to speak big English. We know how to show people. We know how to talk to people out there that this is what we want.
Sister Muji, please, over to you.
Mr. Barrister Tony.
Yeah, no. The matter of who owns Nigeria, that's what I've been trying to explain all day. They hijacked our sovereignty, put our signature on the title deed, the document by which they are marauding throughout Yoruba land. Is that constitution? The Yoruba, the land, the country belongs to the owners, but the people who invaded and managed to suppress are presiding, and the owners have now organized themselves to take it back. That is what is being contested in the place where Igboho went today. the claimants and the owners are sorting out their affairs. If I were to ask you, sir, what the map of that Biafra is, I'm here informing us how we can fail. And we have engaged this matter 7 years before we began to say anything else, where when the damage became flow of blood in Igbo land. Ijo that is presupposed to be in that Biafra is not going to touch anything coming from these fellows you are talking about now. Ogoni will not. Anang, Efik, all of them have said it to the whole world that if anybody comes to their space in the name of Biafra, they will rest that person to the ground. Is that the kind of case you want to carry to the UN? Because you fail. You fail. Not only that, the alliances we need go from our region to extend to the other regions, extend to Yoruba land. Have they ever gone to Akure or War? Although everywhere that people have to decide where Yoruba land will go overseas. Have they gone to sit down with those who decide for Yoruba land? We have. Have they gone to sit down with those who decide for Middle Belt where they want to go? Because you have to put a plan that will work together. It's not sentiment. It's not sentiment. We're inside this prison compound. If we don't break that prison, you can't get to your destination. I'm going to liberation. You are going to liberation. What we call ourselves is a totally different. Yoruba is one language group, basically. The other people have to agree on what they want to do. That was what ruined the first enterprise. That the ones who are for other languages were persuaded that Igbo will swallow them. Then you come again after 50 years to come and begin to tell them of a supreme leader that is restoring the Biafra that include their land without talking to them. So we tried our best until it became an international embarrassment, until it became flow of blood in Igbo land, until it became something that can make this project fail. That was the first time we began to say, let this stop. When they grabbed him, after telling him what might happen, when he was arrested in 2015, many of you do not know that I was in the team that secured an order for unconditional release, the one that Justice Demola gave. This Ifeanyi Ejiofor that is running his mouth around as his lawyer was not even in the team. That team, the legal team, I didn't talk to him. I went at my own cost to that court in Abuja, and we secured the order for unconditional release. When Buhari refused to release him and rather arrested Justice Ademola and his wife on false charges, we still had to go to Kuje to discuss what will become the political solution. I'm sure you saw the pictures of the day Soludo, Utomi, and all of them went to Kuje. It was for the purpose of bringing common ground so that there could be a way of moving in one direction. If he was going to the same destination, you may think it's going to the same destination. That's your own thinking. I'm in a position to tell you that he's not going to the same destination. The destination of freedom, the destination of self-determination, because if he was going there, he would be interested on the pathway to getting there. he's going to any other place but that destination. So anybody who thinks he's going in the same destination with him, well, that's where I will have to leave it. I don't think the matter is self-evident that if you want to get out of the prison compound, you have to find a place to find a mechanism. There's a plan that can get everybody to safety. You are ruining that plan. You are pouring water into unlimited gunpowder. How are we going to get to safety? It's costing blood. If you know what it is for communities to be overrun the way it's been overrun in the East, you will then understand the gravity of what we're saying. If you know what it means to fail in this kind of project because somebody's playing prank in one corner, telling just blatherdash, all kinds of everything is propaganda. Everything is propaganda. How can you be playing with the life of more than 150 million people? Because that's what is happening. We've sent messages privately. We've sent messages publicly. If he does not stop, this project will stop him.
Thank you very much, Barrister Nandi. Moving on by calling the next person on the list, Mr. Lanre Waju Obideyi. Please ask your question as apt as possible. Straight to the question, Mr. Lanre Waju Obideyi.
Thank you very much. This is a very great one, and I actually feel bad that I'm just joining in now. But then I observed the group right now, and I noticed more that there seems to be more of adults. And considering the youth strength we could have, is there any strategy in place to involve the youth whereby they can bring their creativity and the likes to bear, just so that because at the end of the day, it's from, I mean, just from my observation here, the faces I see here, it's looking like this is an adult thing and the youths are caught out of it.
Barrister Ogeringbe.
Yeah, the Ninas has elaborate engagement with young people at this time. The materials we have been brought down to, I'm sure if you go to the website, if you go to any of the platforms, the YouTube platform of Nina, you're going to see what the young people are doing among themselves, producing the materials that could be easily digested by their own generation of people. All that is going on, and a lot more of it will happen in the coming days.
Thank you.
And I would just like to add the fact that I don't know if the gentleman was here last week. The speaker was a youth, and we also have Sister Buki in the house, who apparently is a youth, and we had a singer who opened the program who was a youth. And presently in Nigeria, in Osogbo, Ife, and Osun, majority of those who are at the rally are youth. So there's never any intention or plan to exclude the youth, because the entire project, the fact that we are here, even thinking it's not so much about us, it's about those who are coming after us. So you can rest assured that the youth are well involved in this struggle. Perhaps you have any idea or a better way to mobilize the youth, please forward it to the directorate and we'll consider it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barrister Ogeringbe. Mr. Korede Ayeni. Mr. Korede Ayeni.
Please, Sister Bishi, before we go ahead, can you take all the questions together at this time so that by the time we have all the questions and then they'll be answered together, because we have about 18 or next.
They are all getting paid. It's
So
like people on the United States, I don't like to be do charging. So I'm not being in any one of those banks.
Thank you. I'm Korede Ayeni, oníṣègùn òyìnbó láti Australia. I want to thank the speaker for his candor And I would also want to appreciate all those who have been able to put this program together. I need to draw our attention to certain key issues. But while doing that, I will make reference to some of the sayings of the elders. Atonido, wani ekanloma atonido mo. That is, once beaten, twice shy. Àwọn àgbà tún sọ pé igi gogoro má gúnni lójú àtòkèrè láti ń wò ó, which will be prevention is better than cure. Over years, the oppressors of nationalities in Nigeria have often used the military, as an escape route once they know that people are clamoring for democracy. Of recent, they've been actually spreading rumors of possible coup. And that is suggesting that they are probably going to play that joker again. How do we go about rescuing ourselves from this enslavement should this happen again? I am also aware that if we try to prevent an election holding, which is what will help us to be able to ensure that we free ourselves from this current unacceptable situation of enslavement. But how do we ensure how do we maintain law and order? Because nature abhors vacuum. How do we go about this? Wọ́n ní àìsí nílé ológbò, ìledùlé èkúté. How can we ensure that this laudable project is not hijacked by hoodlums and people who have other interests, not in the best interest of the people, but just for their selfish interest? Thank you.
Very, very quickly, nobody can establish countrywide control over Nigeria today by going to announce a military coup, because those who have suffered from it in the last 55 years know better. And everybody is ready. Is it not a question of gun? The constitution that monopolized the guns in the hands of a few from a section of Nigeria is down and out. Nobody will take instruction from anybody outside their own block in this thing you are seeing here. The matter has gone past that kind of, they will have all the while their man got sick, they will have done that long time ago if it was an option. If it was an option, it's no longer an option. If you make an announcement, people are going to be.
Because only Nandi Bama to mention or Biafra Lodowa, we could calculate the platform, and that's reasonable. So a jolly debate to the which is fair. When you at the point when you come to violence, we open control draw.
Are we still there? Hello?
We can hear you, sir. Please go ahead.
Right. I said, just rest your mind about the matter of coup. Anybody who attempts to seize control of the entire country by military force at this time is going to find a totally different environment in which it will not be effective countrywide. People are going to take charge of their spaces because there is a union dispute. Now, what is that Nigeria that you're announcing you want to govern? At the time you don't want to settle it, there's a plan on the table for how we can settle what the issues are. And you think you can go and get gun and point at everybody and say you have become a head of which country? It won't happen. Second, we are not anarchists. That's why we offer transition to those who have imposed themselves so far. South Africa moved from apartheid through a transitioning to where the negotiated multiracial constitution became the basis for election in 1994. Between 1990, when the announcement, the kind of announcement that is our number one demand, And again, let me remind us to please, whatever it will take, read that proclamation, because if the last speaker had read that proclamation, he would have seen that there's a proposition for what to do to manage the period. The 4 years that is running now will finish sometime in 2023. We do not need more than 6 months to 1 year to transit away from this deadly constitution to negotiated alternatives. Whether we remain in union or we go our separate ways, all of that can be managed if we agree to manage it under a roof. And if we refuse to manage it under a roof, we have the choice of Yugoslavia to take as against Czechoslovakia. But if we want to solve the problem, the framework and all the mechanisms, step by step, have been provided in that 16th of December 2020 proclamation, joint proclamation by this Nigerian Indigenous and Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. We are not anarchists. We can go to that transition by just accepting we have this problem, by committing not to go to another election on the basis of this constitution that is being disputed, by committing to a two-stage procedure in which those who will be federating will go to referendums, regional referendums, and then come to determine how they relate if most people want to carry on. And then to announce that transitioning, a time-bound transitioning that can lead to new things that are negotiated. It's as simple as that. There's no gap for anarchy in all of that. If we didn't make that provision, then we say, how do you get them out of government house? They have a choice now to agree with everybody so that we can go and solve the problem. But if they think guns are going to solve the problem, we're waiting for, we can only wish them good luck in that adventure.
Thank you very much. I have a question I picked from the chat.
Yes.
And it said, what advice can you give to our people that are in the military and police force? While you're answering that question, I will advise Mrs. Elizabeth Olaide to get ready to ask the next question. So what advice can you give to our people that are in the military and police force?
They have to watch their backs in the war front in Maiduguri. I'm not a stranger to the military circle. By the way, I went to the university from the NDA. My mates are all major. No one is less than rank of Major General in the services. Some of them still talk to me. Now, everybody who sees what has been going on in the war front in Maiduguri, where people from this alliance territories are constantly taken to the war front, put in harm's way, killed. They are reporting that their own commanders are compromising them. I'm sure we remember in 2000 when Jonathan was president, we remember the day the troops shot at the GOC, the newly created, I think it was 7th Division at the time. He came to visit them after an incident and they opened fire on him. What was the problem? They had noticed a pattern that every now and then they will be sent on a mission and then something will go wrong that was avoidable. And then the next moment he will come to commiserate with them. On that occasion, they finished the fight and they were to go back to their base, but it was already dark. And on the way back to their base, there's a dangerous stretch. They pleaded to be allowed to leave early in the morning so that by the time they get to that dangerous patch where they could be ambushed, it will already be daylight or so that they could see from afar if anybody is trying to come at them. That GOC refused and they insisted that they must go back to their base that night. As they went, they were attacked in that same place they feared, and many of their colleagues were killed. They got back to base. When it was daylight, their GOC turned up, and one of them opened fire on him. He was lucky. He was in what do they call a bulletproof vehicle. That was why he didn't die. Jonathan removed him that same day. What am I reporting? There have been tons and tons of reports of soldiers from these alliance parts, from the southern parts and the middle belt, being deliberately put in harm's way by their commanders, who happens to be in league with the other side in the battle. You saw where the Air Force bombed troops on their side the other day, where 31 of the soldiers died. They were in a fight and then they retreated. There was reinforcement called. Air Force didn't find any other place to make mistake than to bomb off those people, and they all died. We have a situation where the army that is being sent to go and fight the enemy, people who are doing that fight are reporting to us from the war front that their own commanders are the same as the commanders of the army they are fighting. That's how bad the situation is. That's how bad the situation is. And so the ones in service, soldiers and policemen from the alliance territory, in this era of internet, there's no reason why if they put themselves away from knowing what is going on to inform themselves, we can only ask them to inform themselves. They have to find a way to listen to what's going on, because the same people they captured, the ones they defeated and captured, our government is pardoning them, pretending that they have repented, putting them back in that same army, taking money from the treasury to rehabilitate them. And then every time you see that they are the ones who go to cause bigger havoc. And it's been going on. They are wiping off officers and men from the alliance territory and bringing Boko Haram fighters to put in that same army. And you send them to the barracks where the widows of those people that were slaughtered, you expect people to remain anybody who doesn't. We advise our people to open their eyes and know what is going on. If it becomes Nigeria is going to sacrifice you, you make up your mind.
Thank you so very much. We have just about 5 minutes. Because I have mentioned a name, Elizabeth Olaide, if you can ask the question, you have just less than a minute to ask the question, and I will implore our guest speaker to try as much as possible to give a very short answer to that, because I've already called on her if she is there. Elizabeth Olaide.
Thank you. Hello.
Seconds, please. Hi.
Hello there. Thank you very much for calling me in. Yeah. I thank you very much, the organizers, and I thank the speakers. My question is about how to recognize true referendum, because there has been so many fake referendums going on, fake stories. Like they told us, if there's any corner of trouble in Nigeria, there are 2 numbers they gave in the US that we should report to. But somebody just phoned me a few minutes ago that those numbers are fake. I want common man to be able to recognize the true referendum when it comes out.
Thank you very much.
That is number 1. And then what do we do about all the Fulani troops that have been sent to the barracks in some locations in the south to be trained? Because somebody actually saw them unloading and creating space for them in the barracks. My worry is, are they trying to take over down here? So we need to be careful. Then if our people are in trouble, do we have pro bono lawyers, the lawyers that will help them out?
Barrister, could you please give a very short answer to that? We have about a minute to yes, please.
Yes, I can give you a formula. The document you talked about, the one with the State Department logo, isn't it? The one that has State Department emblem.
Yes, that's it.
Right.
That has State Department logo and 2 numbers, 2 US numbers.
In that document, did you see the word Biafra?
I didn't look closely.
Look again, you will see the word Biafra. It is one of the numerous scams of IPOB. Any document or broadcast in which you see that word Biafra used, text or audio or audiovisual, once that word Biafra is used, disregard it and move to another thing. Otherwise, you are 2 legs into a scam.
Okay then.
That's a standard test you can use, whether it's broadcast or text. Once you see Biafra in it, throw it aside and proceed.
Okay then.
That's one. The soldiers, the people that are being sent to military locations, to tell you the kind of danger we are in. The incident you are reporting, I got one from Okitipupa, where people came in 31 buses.
Yes,
being
yes,
uploaded
yes.
into the barrack.
Yes.
We've spoken with some of the eyewitnesses, and the report is the same from all over the place. Let's tell us what happened. When the Buhari first came and they were eager to get on this Uruga business, they called it national livestock, called it all kinds of names, grazing arrangement of national lives to food security. They tried all kinds of things to introduce to impose themselves on us to extract land. They did violence, government-sponsored violence to compel. Governors were molested. It didn't work. What did they say? They now said, well, while that debate is going on, that they're going to have all the military barracks across the land. Always, they always have something at the rear that is shooting range, some kind of forest where they do training and all kinds of things. Most of except the ones in the city centers, but the ones in the outlying locations always have that big forest behind. The Buhari approved of those areas behind the barracks being used for the cow grazing. Let those with cows be able to go there. They even sent some of their people to go and train in Argentina, some other places overseas, for how soldiers will be managing ranching. When they did all of that. So the barracks, the barracks of Nigeria across the length and breadth of Nigeria was made available for cow grazing and ranching behind. And so it becomes the receptacle, the point where those people who are coming from Mali and Senegal will gather, and from where they launch their operations in the communities. And police cannot chase them to that place, knowing that the soldiers are with them in that. And we had Cornelinian the other day telling us that even some of the officers are now involved in buying cow and giving to those people. So they are trying to establish that Ruga by all means. And those people, since they have those secure places of operation, they are just encircling us. Unless we take down this union, that is the only chance we have. And if we don't stop this journey to this election, they will unleash what they are putting together. We have a chance to go ahead of them. We can continue to argue among ourselves and say, let's go and get one more small benefit in the next round of election. It's our choice to make. They already surrounded us, and the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Nigeria is right in their midst for how they do what they're doing.
Thank you very, very, very much. At this point,
same question. Even the man said, I think he's just trying to be polite. Shut them up.
So Samuel, unmute yourself.
I have done that. Could you spotlight me? So it is at this point we're going to draw the curtain on today's town hall meeting. However, I would like to announce that for those of us that still want to stay behind after the end of this meeting, you feel free to stay behind.
And I raised my hands up.
Please.
And you didn't call me. I'm the first one. You start from the back. I will not say anything again. Thank you.
Okay, so like I was saying, at the end of this meeting, those of us that still have interest to ask questions, I'm sure our guest speaker would be happy to answer your questions. But we need to bring this to an end to allow other people that have other things to do to actually go ahead and do what they have to do. My name is Moji Bishi. I would like to thank the Almighty God for making this possible for us to gather today. And I would also like to say big thanks to our father, Emeritus Professor Stephen Banji Akintoye. He came today, he actually put his own seal of approval on what we are doing. And he has implored all other members to join the directorate. So, and I would also, in the same vein, invite all the other members that are yet to join this directorate to come home. This is your home. This is your government in exile. And together we can make it happen. Thank you very much to the guest speaker, your passion, your energy. God, we can go on and on and on until tomorrow. And I can see the number of participants has not even dwindled. Rather, it continues to grow and grow and grow. And people still need more of you. Please, we will appreciate you. Stay behind and answer further questions from our people. Thank you, Barrister Tony Nandi, we appreciate you. To our princess, the director of Director of Princess Adiola Atayoro Olamijulo, well done. To the barristers in the house, Barrister Ogedengbe, Barrister Odumosu, and Barrister Janet Fashaki, well done. We appreciate all that you are doing. To the host of today, Brother Simon Olatunji, well done for all the good things you have been doing, and to all the media team and every other members. I will say a bit of Yoruba. Gbogbo àwọn groups that are here together. Adúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo yín, àgbájọwọ́ la fi ń sọ̀yà, ó ní àjùjọwọ́ kan kò gbẹ́rù dórí, àjọṣe wa kò ní bàjẹ́ o. Ẹ ṣé adúpẹ́ gbogbo yín àti gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ darapọ̀ mọ́ wa nílé àti ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń wà lórí Facebook. All of you join us from Facebook and on every other platform. We appreciate you. We appreciate your time. Once again, my name has not changed. My name is Moji Bishi. Elemi Onigba. We'll see you next week. Over to you, Brother Simon.
Thank you so very much. We appreciate you. Nígbà yìí, ààrẹ gbọ́mú solókùn. Àmọ̀ fi àdàgbà ètò tòun, àmọ̀ fi rọ̀. Adúpẹ́ pẹ́ òkun. Adúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ ọmọdé, adúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ àgbàlagbà. Adúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo ẹ̀yin bàbá, ẹ̀yin mọ̀mọ́, tẹ́ jẹ́ kí ètò tòun kójú ṣe fún wa. Lágbára àṣẹ Ọlọ́run Olódùmarè, yóò máa júṣe fún gbogbo wa. Àmín, àmín àṣẹ. Ní báyìí, a ó kọ orin ìbílẹ̀ wa, orin orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá. Àwọn barista wa, Barrister Odumosu, ó yá, ẹ bá gbé sí, ẹ gbé sókè. While we all remain muted, you can sing along, but please remain muted. Please start again and unmute, please. Barrister Odumosu, start again and unmute, please. Barrister Odumosu. Barrister Odumosu, please unmute yourself and start again. We are signing out now on this note, and we will still be here for the benefit of those of us who still have some questions to ask. Our guest speaker has been gracious enough to consent to wait a little bit longer after the close of today's meeting so that questions may be asked, and you can stay with us and ask your question. Meanwhile, the meeting today is coming to an end. I will invite Princess to declare the meeting officially closed for today.
Once again, I want to thank everybody for coming, and I want to appreciate our guest speaker. I want to appreciate our daddy, and I want to appreciate every one of us. And by next week, our meeting is every Saturday. Next week, we want to invite you once again to come on board, and we are going to be treating another topic. And again, we want to say thank you to our guest speaker, Barrister Tony Nadi. You really did a very great job tonight. And to our host, the media, we thank you. And to our barrister, we thank you. And tonight, I want to declare the meeting closed, and see you next week. And God bless each and every one of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So, thank you very much, Princess, our mother. We love you so much. We love you. Well done for all the good job. Thank you. So, if you're still here, I want to believe the reason you're still here is because you have one or two questions to ask, or you still want to learn more about what is going on in Nigeria and here and the Ijangbara Sanja. So I'm going to call on my list. I have Mr. Korede Oludiran. If you're still here, Mr. Korede Oludiran.
I'm still here.
Please go on. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Barrister Nandi. Thank you for so quick one. First, I would like to say that the barrister, if I'm have to choose two people who knows, or two great people in this self-determination struggle, I would choose you. You know what we need to do, and you are following through. You're a great resource to this struggle. I also suspect that there is a very good chance that there are so many people, I mean the major stakeholders in this struggle, that are not operating at your frequency. I'm trying to be very blunt now, not so politically correct. So I believe there are people that are not operating at your frequency and frustrated at your vision and skills. They are needed for us to achieve this.
I'm sorry, your line is not very good. While you try to resolve your line, I would like to call on Mrs. or Mr. Tokunbo Lijadu. And please, let's just ask questions, straight questions, please. Mr. or Mrs. Tokunbo Lijadu.
Okay, now I'm a woman.
Okay, Mrs.
Now, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I like to join my voice with the voices of others that have, thank Barrister Naji.
Hello,
we are very
excuse me, what happened? Was I cut off?
No, you were not cut off. Sorry, you were not cut off. Your line was bad, so you will come back after this. We just wanted you to resolve your line. You will come on after this, after this, mommy. Go on, mommy.
Okay. Can I go on?
Yes, we can hear you, mom.
Okay. Now, Barrister Naji, I quite appreciate the fact that you said that we need to stop the journey to the election of 2023.
Yes.
And I just want to ask if we can, in the remaining days before the 17th of August, expiry of the 120 days, if we could get the constituents, the constituencies that are being represented in the National Assembly, to write for each to write their senators and members of their houses of reps and their governors, and let them know very point blankly that we are no longer interested in any further election under the 1999 Constitution. We're all just fulfilling all righteousness. Now, let them write so that they won't say the people did not say anything. Now, you said the UN said, go and speak to your people, discuss with your people. The vice president came out and said, discuss with your people. And now the governors came out with a communique that really isn't communicating what the Nigerian people want. And they had the effrontery to claim in, I think, paragraphs Romans 6 and Romans 7 of their communique, saying that the people are agitating for inclusive representation. That's not our agitation. Our agitation is for self-determination. Now, we have been misrepresented again by the governors. I think the people need to really go out and say, this is what we want, and to attack those two particular Roman paragraphs, Roman 6 and Roman 7 of the, I wish I have that document in front of me right now. We need to tell them, and the letters that will be written to them should be copied to the political parties, so that they will really know that the people have spoken. We have not only spoken on the streets, we have spoken in writing, directing letters to the various constituencies, to the representatives in the red and green chambers that are representing this area. We, the people of this area, this is what we want, not what the governors have said. We tell the senators, House of Rep members, we are no longer interested in contesting any election under this constitution. And to the political parties, we are not interested in you continuing to do this electioneering business in our area, because this is our own position now. Because you see, you cannot blame the people for what you have not cautioned them against. We need to do that before this 17th of August deadline. That's just what was going on in my mind, because we need to have been heard from, instead of saying, oh, we are representing you, this is what we say. Again, we are complaining about a constitution that didn't represent us. Now we have our governor saying, the contrary thing. We are not for restructuring. We are not interested. We need the people to put that in writing. We need to address it to these people. I think, what else did I have in mind? Okay. I think just that's just about it. If you don't think it's too late in the day for us to say, before the 17th of August, this is the position of the people. You already said that we are the ones who can put a constitution together. And the governors have gone, like cap in hand, begging for representation. We don't want that. We are very clear about what we want. That's just what I think I wanted you to comment about. Thank you.
Right, thank you. They're just playing pranks. There is a written communication addressed, because we gave them 30 days after the 90 days of the federal government, because we didn't, the proclamation, the demands of the proclamation was not addressed to them. So we said, since by the time we take the next step of reconsidering our allegiance to that constitution, all of the elected officials from the alliance territory will be the casualties or victims, or it will hit them first. So we said 30 days to acquaint them, let them ask their questions if they want private, if they want public. Instead of coming forward, they started denigrating it, because they were more interested in keeping their positions. Who are you? Yeah. You had when the governor in Ondo ran his mouth to say, who is Akintoye to be talking about that he's the elected because he's chairman of also the governors forum. I had to go to TV to tell him he's talking trash. That he wasn't elected to the people who elected him didn't hand over their sovereignty to him, and he can't dismiss with a wave of hand all of what this number of people, 130 signatories that include people who were already vice presidents before you finish from secondary school. So that was it for him. I think he has shut up since that time, because we also have a written communication on that March 18, March 17 and April 17. We have documents that could be attached. The letter being written to them will just be to say, yes, I'm very much in agreement with people writing letters, but I'm going to send documents of on our site. We can see the documents of our public pronouncements addressed to them, so that those who are writing them letters will say, there's this proclamation. We believe we have come to where we have to solve this problem before we go to another election. For you who stand representing, this is what we are saying, apart from what was said generally. That's such a short that then you attach those documents to them, so it's coming from you to them. You know, I think they're just playing pranks, but we know where those pranks will end. Ruben Abati went talking about treason. Again, we had to just tell him he's talking in ignorance if he doesn't understand the meaning of self-determination. So it's just a matter of more people being sensitized to, because it's a situation of life and death. Those who are in distant places, I said it before, the last card the Fulani has in their hand to be able to recover anything at all at this time is that election. If we make the mistake of allowing them to carry on with it, because we refuse to engage our own people who are going to contest that election, it will be our fault. It will be our failing. There's no Fulani man between we and our cousins who are going to contest that election. We can stop them if we have to fight. If that is where the fight is, a much cheaper fight to undertake than the one in which you allow them to bring Fulani that will have another 4 years to carry on. They don't even need all the way to 2020. If once election will happen in 2023, they will continue what they are doing. They themselves are not planning to have another election. They only want enough time to overrun us. That's all they're doing. But they've thrown the power to South. Go and drag yourself over it. Are we slowing them down in the killings they're doing, on the planning they're doing to overrun us? What is the guarantee that they will not finish their business before that date comes? So it would be foolish for us not to do the one that is within our reach to do, to stop our own kinsmen who are holding on to party that will go to contest election. If we don't do it, we are bargaining for a much bigger fight. I pray wisdom will prevail.
Thank you very much, Barrister. Mr. Korede Oludiran, are you back? Is your connection better now? Mr. Korede Oludiran.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, good. Thank you. Can you hear me well now?
Yes, very well.
All right, thank you. So as I was saying, Mr. Barrister, you've been a great blessing to this whole struggle. One of the major things we've achieved, in this, particularly for those of us Yoruba people, is this force majeure, and you are a major proponent of that. So I see you as somebody who knows what we need to do and doesn't often get carried away by emotions of what we currently are in. So the strategic perspective and direction is very, very important. However, I also feel that you probably are frustrated by not having a lot of people operating at a level of frequency. The strategy, planning, vision, communication. There are certain things you said today that has given me more confidence in this struggle as Yoruba people than I've heard before. So there are many areas of this whole thing that needs to be done. So what I want to ask is, what are you doing to get the different stakeholders to work in such a way that we'll have the right set of people doing what they need to do, the right set of groups, right set of individuals doing what they need to do, so that individuals and groups don't keep repeating the same thing. Everybody is trying to do the same thing, and whereas we all are not doing anything, we're just very disorganized. So I know you would have seen this a lot, especially amongst us Yoruba people. So what I'm asking you, what are you doing to get the major stakeholders to come together to be more strategic And I'm talking, including Professor Akintoye. I respect him a lot, but hey, I think a lot needs to be done in the area of the leadership strategy. We are not getting it right. We're not organized.
Thank you.
I fear that, no, just one last thing, please. Just one last statement, please. I'm not talking about Professor Akintoye again. I'm sorry about that. If that hurt you. So one last thing is, if things happen now, I'm not a military expert, but if things happen now and there is chaos, I believe that our enemy have advantage over us. They have almost destroyed our economy. They have Niger to support them. They have the military in their hands. They have the government in their hands. I'm not saying we can't defeat them. It only needs us identifying the center of gravity, both theirs and ours, and where to strike or what we need to do. And I think someone in your position is in a good position to identify those things. And if we don't come together and be strategic and be serious the way we handle things, and not just talking and be rowdy and acting like we're not educated Yoruba people, then we're going to fail really bad. So what are you doing to bring everybody together? Thank you, sir.
Yes, sorry, Mr. Barrister Nancy. So can I just, before Barrister answers the question, I have a question.
Please don't worry. Let him answer.
He will answer you. He will by all means answer you.
Let him answer the question.
I want to throw.
No, just let him say.
No.
This happens all the time. You try to defend things.
Excuse me.
Don't defend it. Just let him answer it.
Barrister,
just let him answer. There's no point. There's no point. Just let him answer.
You talked about being rowdy. Could you please do something in a very orderly manner? Barrister Ogedengbe has the right to answer this question, and Barrister Tony Nandi is going to also answer your question. Please, we are orderly people. We are Yorubas. Thank you very much. Over to you, Barrister Ogedengbe.
Thank you. So the question of what was the question about again? The matter of going around to make sure that people at other frequencies, if it was a matter of other frequencies, people who didn't quite understand, you have to continue to enlighten people until they come to a certain level of understanding. But when you are dealing with clearly determined criminal elements who are not willing to do anything different from what they set out to do, it's like trying to wake up a man who is pretending to be sleeping. You are wasting your time. The ones who did not understand, we went to them. In the eastern side, there were 42 different Biafran organizations that we had to sit down eyeball to eyeball with their leaders. From Uwazurike, I was the one that collapsed, by God's grace, I was the one that collapsed the treason trial of Uwazurike and that of Asari Dokubo. And everything in between must stop from when it started to now. Some of them are overseas, government in exile, Biafran Liberation Council, all kinds of things. We went to them to say, here is how we can get to that. What destination do you seek? They say it's independence. Where's the map of that territory? Not one of them has any map that can stand the test of scrutiny for 5 minutes at the UN. Not one of them. Have you discussed with the other people whose land fall into that space? Not one of them has ever visited the Joe Ogoni or Aropo or anybody. They just sit in faraway place and plug into that franchise the goodwill, the inexhaustible goodwill our people have towards that Biafra name and Biafra concept. So in our own areas, most of all those people have come along, apart from the few. Nnamdi Kanu, Simon Ekpa, you hear his broadcast all the time, is one of those who very clearly understood what we are saying, but distorts everything every time in service of his master Nnamdi Kanu, so that they can continue to extort money from our people, pretending they're delivering a non-existent Biafra to them. So that's for our own part. In the Yoruba space, I can tell you there's nobody that is involved that we have not tried to reach, to explain to, and you'll be surprised are the ones, because if you're talking about frequency, you think that our people are not stupid at all. Of all, Ghanaian Dance was the first to sit down to listen to this. At the time, many people thought he didn't have the kind of education that will qualify him to stand in front in anything. Yet it didn't take him 30 minutes to understand it. He came to Owerri, sat down, at Concord Hotel in Owerri. And when he grasped it, he has been, he's been doing just what we agreed to do. Many people in Yoruba land didn't understand it for years and years, and he became frustrated trying to explain to them that these things are not as they see. There's no road where they're going. Sunday Igboho, just a few, you saw the day he came to join us. Some people may think, oh, he's not a great intellectual, but I tell you, he's so clear-minded because he's honestly looking for something that will solve this problem. The difference comes where you are now going to engage people who are looking for something else, not the thing that will solve this. All the people who I've had the privilege of addressing people, that Onitsha, that is rowdy. I've had the privilege of leading teams that went to inside our big marketplaces. The Onitsha rowdy market, the Aba rowdy market, the Asaba, or the Enugu, but we had gone around, we speak in their language. I go in casual dress and talk to them, sit down with Okada Union. It was this same propaganda that now told them we had offices where people were making flyers so that our people at the grassroots levels can understand what we are saying. We asked them to leave the word Biafra out of it. Let us know it is self-damnation we're talking about. Let us know it's liberation from bondage we're talking about. But they went with their brokers to announce to those same people that they had verified that it is the Fulani that set up the Lower Niger Congress Organization Ali, that is the Fulani that set it up for us to prevent them from getting Biafra. And the people became violent and went attacking my field officers. So we had to, are we to stop and begin to fight them in the place so that Fulani can come and separate our fights? After a while, we left those facilities. That's the structure, that's what they have built. That's the kind of bogus foundation they have built upon. And those people who know what we're saying are waiting patiently for us to come back. When we told them when the time comes to come back, that all these things that are fake will be blown away in course of time. That's where we are now. So we are reaching out to everybody. Let us, if we define the destination, this is where we want to go. It's easier for us to, if we're talking about how to save ourselves from death, and some people are plotting how to make some profit before the death comes by going to elections, it becomes a problem. It will come to where they'll be pushing and pulling because you are endangering the life of other people because you want to go and get some small profit for yourself. The day the community gets to know, somebody has asked a question, how do you make the difference? People, where do you draw the line? The dividing line is that constitution. If you are found on the side of that constitution, there'll be no punishment too great to be administered on you, and it may be by mob. You won't see me when the mob turns out at your space. To have been identified on the side of that constitution, that will be the dividing line, and it cannot get more objective. That's the most objective dividing line. Is he for the constitution? Is he against this constitution? And election will be the litmus test. Does he want to go to another election under this? Anybody found on the side of let's go to another election under this constitution, the mob will give them, the lecture they refuse to listen to.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Jide.
Sorry, Moji, I'd like to support some of the things that we said.
Okay.
Fún arákùnrin tó ń sọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀kan yẹn, mo kàn fẹ́, I want to actually provoke you in a positive way. Yorùbá ní igi kan kì í dàgbò ṣe. Ṣé rí problem don't solve problem, solutions do. It's so easy to charge other people to do things, but sometimes we need to examine ourselves. What have we done? What have we done? How can I best serve the interests of my people? Because if you're asking Barrister Tone Energy and Baba Akintoye at 85 to do everything, they can't possibly do it. They need people. It is for people that they're having sleepless nights. And we need to put our hands on deck and support the effort. Yoruba ní kíkú légbọ́ kó sọ fún toko. Nǹkan ṣẹlẹ̀ níjù ẹ̀ wí létílé. So we all have responsibility also. It's not about pointing fingers. You do this, you do that. Please, those are just what I need to say. A little bit of that, and let's do more. Americans will say, talk is cheap. Everybody have an idea. Some ideas are not good, but some are excellent. Please, as matured and reasonable people, we need to first examine ourselves. What have I done? That's just the little I need to add to that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Barrister Ogedengbe. Mr. Jide.
If we continue to go the way we are going, we will all die. The fact that I'm speaking.
Can I talk now? Hi.
Mr. Jide, yes, please.
Oh, thank you, Moji. Thank you very much for having me. Barrister Ogedengbe, thank you very much for what you just said. Because you
And everything, it doesn't make any sense. We just have to face the problem we have and try to find solutions.
Can you remove that man, please?
Remove him.
I will remove myself. Don't worry.
Please, completely.
Remove him.
Remove
He's
him.
so
He has no
disorganized. I think
matter.
you should get him out.
Hi everybody. This is Emmanuel. I just wanted to make a comment on the earlier guy that started lambasting Professor Akintoye, and I know he's putting a lot of effort, especially Barrister Tony. It is inappropriate for him to come on there talking about what people haven't done, what they should do. If he has something to do to contribute to the whole push for everyone's freedom, he should do it. If he needs support with it, he should say what support he needs. He can't come on there criticizing people who have been putting in the efforts. That is ridiculous. He needs to go and sit his backside down and actually support the freedom of the people. I can't stand people like that. If he's got something to contribute to the team, for everyone to go forward what they need to do, they should contribute it. Don't come here lambasting people who are trying to put in the work. I can't stand people like him. Sorry, guys. I'm just upset that someone's going to come here beside somebody who's putting so many years into our liberation. I'm disappointed. I can't stand people like that. I'm sorry, guys.
Thank you very much. I actually thought it was Mr. Jide speaking. Mr. Jide, the floor is yours now. You can ask your question.
Yeah, thank you, Moji. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Like I said, Barrister Ogedengbe, thank you very much for what you said just now, because you've more or less answered some of my questions. Barrister Nadi, I want to make a request. I've got a request and a question. Can you please write a book titled The Accurate History of Nigeria? Because if there's one thing you've done for me tonight, is that you've really educated me and you've opened my eyes to understand a lot of things. So I'll just leave that at that. Wow. Now, my question is this. I really want to thank you for your clear thinking and your clear objectives. In my head, I know exactly what it is that we need to do. So my question is this. What is the plan of action? Specific activity to educate, organize, mobilize the ordinary man on the street. And I'm talking about myself. What do you want me to do next? Thank you.
Over to you, Barrister Nandi. You need to unmute yourself, sir.
I thought I did. The website www.ninasffn.org has been displayed a number of times. www.ninasffn.org has everything, and there's a new syndicated broadcast that is coming on streaming about 1 week, where people can go to get more information as things develop here. But all of the matters of specific programs and how people are going to, what roles people can play in disseminating, at this stage, dissemination of information is most critical. Those of us with a sufficient education to read and understand what is being said, to review videos of it, because every day, in course of the last 1 week alone, I can't count the number of platforms, including national TV, AIT and all of them. We go talking about these things. We record them, and they are being distributed for the enlightenment of people. This kind of town hall, people can cut up some segments, 20, 30 minutes that deal with a specific, and just let everybody's hands be on deck take the information, because these things are written. The plan of what to do, after this, we do this, after that, we do the next, to produce the outcome. Everything is on display on that site so that people can know exactly what they need to do to get out the outcome we want. The fellow that just spoke, brashly about if he were to understand, the depth of criminality we're discussing, I'm sure he won't come. If I was him, I would be investigating. Why would somebody like this be talking about this kind of a thing? If I didn't engage these fellows directly to come to the point where I came to the conclusion that they were not going on to the same destination. They may sound great to you, doing very serious work, and I've explained, with specific instances. Find out whether Nnamdi Kanu slept in his house on the day of that Python dance. Find out whether his parents were anywhere near danger. But he's broadcasting to you today that he sacrificed his parents. But there are people they chose to sacrifice in order to, and there are people who were in his organization, who he was telling, they were asking him, what is the grand strategy? They were asking him what is the grand strategy. And he told them that when sufficient number of people are killed, that the international community will come and declare Biafra for him. How does Yoruba solve their own problem in that kind of planning? How does Middle Belt, that is now under serious invasion, solve their own problem in that kind of planning? How do which of those international community you're talking about? Which of them have you ever sat down with other than Photoshop? And Simon Ekpa is there making broadcasts, and people actually think there's something there. Everything they are doing is pouring water into the gunpowder we have. If you're in a construction site and you have a silo of dry cement, that's the only cement you can find. And you need water in that site. And somebody comes with a trailer load of this 40-foot container type of water, for tanker of water, comes to that site. There's a place to receive water. You are not putting it in that place. You take the hose and put in that silo where the only cement you have. If those people don't stop, if they don't stop what they are doing, so that we can get on the track to how we can escape from this, that's the only thing that is capable of making this project fail. That's how bad it is. And if we look at the number of people that have been sacrificed out of the fact that they are playing pranks, we'll discover that anything that anybody can do to get them out of the way must be done. We have told everybody we can tell. If the rest of our people cannot stop them, this project will activate what will stop them. The force that broke the backbone of the Fulani in this matter does not lack the capacity to stop these criminals from putting the lives of more than 150 million people in danger, presenting us as idiots before the global community. It's a pity. People with education who don't want to interrogate what they are being shown, what they are being told. Interrogate the facts. Engage the facts. Where's the plan for how to deliver that outcome?
Thank you.
It's unfortunate. But as for whether this project will get to its destination, I tell you, it will get to its destination.
Thank God, yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving now to the next person. Yafi Yabode Ogudiran. Yabode Ogudiran.
Thank you very much. God bless you. I'm very, very grateful to all the organizers and coordinators of this program. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'm very, very grateful. I know you are doing a wonderful job, a fantastic job, and God will continue to bless you and empower you more and more. Now, I only have two questions. Number one is, this type of organization needs a lot of engaging. Do you have room for volunteers? That is my first question. Number two, what you are doing is right on point, very good. But are there other legal means that could be looked into? I mean, you have already established, and we all agree that this constitution is fraudulent. Are there other legal means that you can use to fight it? I mean to bring it down. Those are my two questions. Number one, are there rooms for volunteer? If you need volunteers, so that where people can register and volunteer, and then you can, and then are there any other legal means?
Right. Very quickly, on the website, there's surely room for volunteer. People are being invited, and they only need to click a button. I'm sure somebody's going to post it even before we close, if he's still on the program. And so the people can certainly volunteer. Then the matter of legal means, we went to court. We went to court when we needed to go to court to establish what it didn't take us 3 months. It didn't take us, because the Attorney General of the Federation of Nigeria came to court, joined the issues with us. What did he say? He said he had nothing to say because the suit was so watertight that there was no room to maneuver. Even the court could not help them, because we just placed the two versions of the Constitution on the table of the court and showed the court what the decree exhibited, the gazetted copy of the Constitution, the decree number 24, showed the court the story of the authors and the claim inside the document that we did it, and the instruction that that story of the author, that decree number 24, be deleted. And the second version of the Constitution that they printed, trying to conceal the truth. Of course, they couldn't withdraw what they have given out, because that was what the embassies got in 1999. That one that had that addition, that's the decree number 24 printed along. So at the end of the day, the Attorney General filed a response saying that he had nothing to say, that his only quarrel is whether we had local standard to come to represent so many million people in this kind of. Unfortunately for him, because of the mediocrity that reigns in Nigeria, he didn't know that shortly before that period, that the Supreme Court of Nigeria had ruled that as far as the issue is interpretation of the Constitution, operation of the Constitution, or anything relating with the Constitution, any individual can go to court. So that defeated the only ground of a protest he brought, having admitted our case. The courts could not help them any further. They now began to throw adjournments upon every time we come. When it comes to our matter being mentioned, they can switch off the electricity in the premises. Then the judge says, "Oh, I can't." Eventually, we already got what we wanted by going to engage them to the point where they came to make what amounts to an admission, because he was hoping to rely on that matter of local standards, so that we were thrown out through the window. But there was a Supreme Court judgment waiting for him right there. So he fled, and the judges, and we do not require any court order. If somebody takes a check you didn't sign, it's your check, but you didn't sign it, and he goes to bank to collect money, he may have been doing it because he's your staff and you didn't notice. The day you find out, the day you come to bank and here is that your staff about to cash the next money, and you tell the bank people you didn't sign the check, is he going to take money away that day? Do you or the bank require court order for the consequences of that action, that criminality? That's the kind of thing Nigeria has been using to cash the value of 3 million barrels of crude oil every day, and all the proceeds from the ports of Lagos and the VAT and taxes. Forged signature. Killing people in Okudepa.
Thank you very much. Let me quickly call Professor Oshodi. I think I missed you. I've seen your hand, but I missed you at some point. Professor Oshodi, please.
Yes, yeah. I don't have much to say. If I can just speak for maybe 1 minute. I want to thank Barrister Nnamdi for this constructive and dynamic position he has taken. Apparently, he did not just start today. He's been there in the foreground and in the background. And we will certainly want him almost every time we meet. I know it's not easy for him. He's carrying a major load. I saw his post, and I will play my part, even if it's just $1. I live in Miami, Florida. I will send it because it takes money to do this type of things. And number two, something happened in I'm not a lawyer. I'm a forensic psychologist in Miami since 1993. Something happened in Oshogbo today, and those people are on grounds. I hope those of us, many of us who are in overseas, I know we are playing our part intellectually and diplomatically, but those on the ground, I hope we can find a way to be with them and help them, because those are the ones that are fighting for us, while many of us are on TV right now and in social media. The last thing I would say is that we should have this meeting going on every week, even if only 2 people show up or 3 people show up, because this is the psychology of continuity against a strong Fulani-based religious tyrannical government. So we're in the fight. We're in the fight. So again, thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. I can assure you, and this might be the because I have to get into another meeting shortly. I can assure you we are with our people on ground. If you watched the last 2 outings in Ibadan, remember the day they got on the street in Ibadan? We were there. There are teams. There are teams that are with them when whatever is happening. Somebody gets to know and begins to move concerning it. And the day they got out on the street, we were there with them, both at the rally in Makbo Hall and the place of the press conference. In the one before it, you saw when Igboho came in halfway, and there were all kinds of having to go to be sure that however they go, there's we know where they are. We know what it's about. The police turned up, 30 truckloads of policemen trying to come to stop the event. But the event went on all the same because they saw a larger number of people turning up. And we made it clear to them that if they start a fight, if they saw it by themselves, they didn't even need to be told. They now said they came to prevent hoodlums from hijacking, But we're here. If only our people can pay some more attention. When next time in your area, I had a town hall in Orlando the last time. That's how close I came to where you were.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Barrister Nandi, we have 2 hands up. Are you able to answer the 2?
If we do 1 minute, I can then run along.
Dr. Oludare, 1 minute. Dr. Oludare.
Okay. A very good day to everybody. And I want to say a big thank you to Barrister. You've really done justice to what we're expecting. And please, my question is just very simple. People like us are just beginning to understand what this self-determination is all about. We don't have an idea. I was just invited by one of my sister, that's Yabo Ogundiran.
Yeah.
I wanted to have an idea of exactly what it's all about. Now you can now have it at the back of your mind that if someone like me is just getting to know, and we have, you get me, and we have a lot of, I take care of older persons, and I also have an organization called Youth Care Project, and they keep asking me these questions that what is all these Yoruba agitations and self-determination, what is it all about?
Yes.
So that's why I came on board today. Then we have the SMART analysis. Sorry, I'm a lecturer. We have the SMART analysis, which I've seen that you've already put in place.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do is already specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, is time-bound, and so on and so forth. But who are the foot soldiers that you have on ground to run this course? That at least we will overrun most of these politicians like MC Oluomo. I'm based in Lagos. And I know what they've already said concerning this project. That's my question, please.
The matter of they can boast as they can because it's been about party contestations. They've not had to deal with a situation where the scaffolding upon which, you know what they call scaffold? This constitution is the scaffolding upon which they stand. They are so high up there doing their businesses. On this occasion, the grassroots, the downtrodden, those who are dying from the mischief they are unleashing, are not interested in coming to join them to get benefits or to come and compete with them to replace them. They are interested in pulling down the base of that scaffolding. They are not even going to be able to come down to fight in the place where they are too far high up. If they are coming down, they will be coming down, at the mercy. It's only if those people who are interested in pulling the scaffolding up is base. If it's only if those people allow them to come down to join in that fight, except they surrender so that they don't crash from where they are. What we have in place is far above the level of all those kind of charlatans. I tell you, something that defied the British that would have done everything to help their caliphate words here. Didn't you hear the British say that their partnership is not adequate to solve this one for the first time since 1914? Didn't you hear the British High Commissioner say so? Then I'll be talking about Luomo and all kinds of, those are too marginal.
So how do people like us mobilize our own group to join forces with what you are doing now?
If all you need to do, if you get hold of that website, you are going to find an inexhaustible, quantum of tailored materials that will go to inform. If we enlighten our people very rapidly, as technology can enable us to now, this matter should not take more than 2 months. We don't need all of that 120 days to bring matters to where the entire thing is brought down. That scaffold comes down. There are things I'm going to send to the moderator. He can feel free to send to everybody else. There are strategy designs in graphics that people can understand. Strategy designs in graphics so that they know where to press, where to pull, and what outcome. I ended up in law from physics and chemistry, so my mind thinks in measured terms.
Now, sorry, remember I talked about smart analysis. The only program I know that you have in mind now is June 12th.
We have nothing to do with June 12th at all. The people that are talking June 12th, except if people want to do rally, the ones that are talking about referendum in June 12th, you understand? What I'm disclaiming is the ones that have been advertising UN supervised referendum for June 12th, online kind of referendum. When referendum will happen, Nigeria will already have shut down the journey to election. People are going to campaign. You saw Scotland going to referendum the other day. Was it an online business? It's a major thing, bigger than election. Referendum is bigger than any election, including presidential election. So when referendum will happen, the whole world will wait to see whether the owners of Nigeria are staying together, because it has implications across several distant locations. Okay. So
thank you very much. What's going to happen is that since you are going to be having it next week, I'll still be here so that I'll give an opportunity to other people that want to speak. Thank you very much. We appreciate you, and thanks to the organizers.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we have the last person, but not the least, Mr. Samuel. Mr. Samuel.
Well, apparently it's changed his mind or something.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Samuel is on here. Thank you so very much to everybody. Oh, it's just coming on.
Right.
Samuel. Okay. There he is. He has his hand up. Okay. I would like to bring this to a close. Mr. Samuel. Oh, okay. I don't think.
Thank you. Let's really let me run now because I need to get into another meeting. You know.
Thank you so very much for the extra time you gave us, Mr. Barrister Nandi. We appreciate your passion.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barrister Tony. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Samuel.
Thank you, Sister Moji. You've done a very good job.
Barrister. God bless you.
Princess Olamitulo, well done.
Thank you, Barrister Tony. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Barrister Tony, come London. Sunday, you did there.
We catch you up next week.
Thank you.
Bye. Would you please signing out? Bye.
Bye.
Benny, look. I called the Auntie Lan. How do I leave this?
Odùduwà ò fọ́tẹ̀ túnṣe nìyẹn kò sóṣì kúrò bẹ́ẹ̀ ọmọ onílẹ̀ fẹ́ ló lẹ̀ o. Odùduwà. 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 Yorùbá nation ti dé o. Ó ti dé. Odùduwà. 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 Òmìnira fún tẹrú tọmọ. Odùduwà. 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 Ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ gbé lárugẹ. Obìnrin gbé kọ́kùnrin jẹun. Onílé gbé tẹ́ àlejò. Ọmọdé gbé kágbàlagbà.